And hello, welcome on in to Unbroken, an Age of Umbra story, a Daggerheart one-shot. I am your game master, Steve Saylor, for today. Today is a session 0 for Unbroken. This is a very first time that we are running Daggerheart, and because Daggerheart is also relatively new within the ttrpg space, we figured we would stream our session 0, which is going to be our character creation, kind of going over some of the mechanics of what Daggerheart is, and we get to build out our characters that were for our actual one shot, which is happening tomorrow on this same channel at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our West Coast friends, which is Jen. So I'm going to introduce myself first. I am Steve Saylor. I'm a Twitch ambassador as well as accessibility consultant and advocate in the gaming space, not just video games, but also in the TTRPG space as well. I worked on a few video games you might have heard about: Last of Us, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, and I also I'm the host and creator of Dungeons and Disableds, which is a show that is D&D show that is dedicated to highlighting disability representation within the TTRPG space, where basically a bunch of disabled friends gather around a table and play tabletop role-playing games. And this is actually part of that. We're putting this up on our Dungeons and Disableds feed as well. So that's basically about me. You can find that at dungeonsanddisableds.com. You can be able to find that over there, or follow me at Steve Saylor pretty much everywhere. But let us introduce our players. Ellie, why don't you go first?
Yay! Hi! Hello, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to learn Daggerheart. I was like reading the book and I'm like, my brain hurts. So Steve explaining stuff to me is going to be so great. There's so much incredible content that I'm super excited about. I have ADHD, so does my content. We jump around a lot. We do a lot of different things. I do follow the ooh, something shiny kind of mentality. And we talk a lot about accessibility in video games and just like real life fun, cozy chats. And I play a lot of tabletop and get to hang out with this incredible group of people often. So I'm very excited for today.
Love it. Thanks for joining us, Ellie. And Mike, why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Mike. I go by Mike the Quad. Why? Because I'm a quadriplegic, and I might as well just get that out of the way. Sometimes when I play games with people, like on Marvel Rivals and Elden Ring, Night Rain, they don't know what the quad means until I actually tell them. And yeah, so spreading a lot of awareness with accessibility with people who have motor disabilities, and just recently getting into some more fun nerd stuff like Magic the Gathering and tabletop RPGs, like this story we're about to play. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. All right, thanks, Mike. Thor, why don't you introduce yourself?
Electric personality is named Thor Mingander, and I am one of the Twitch Black Unity Guild leaders on Twitch. I am also all about accessibility in gaming, and the way that we drive this is with steering wheels, DK bongos, DDR pads, and even playing games with actual potatoes. We go through games like Elden Ring, Alien Isolation, Resident Evil, and so much more, all with different kinds of controllers to get a conversation about accessibility going. And my ADHD is very content. But my content is very neurodivergent, very inclusive, and we're all about uplifting marginalized communities on the platform. So if you're looking for a good time, stop on by. But I'm very excited to be here. Daggerheart looks like a ton of fun, and I can't wait to be on the session 0. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I only just realized this. Mike, thank you for wearing the Dungeons and Disabled shirt. I'm also wearing my Dungeons and Disabled shirt, but in red. You can be able to get that at dungeonsdisableds.store.
Are you wearing red
like
for?
This is like Dragon Blood or something.
Cool. Well, red is for, it's a little bit more friendly. Tomorrow will be in black. All right, and then last but certainly not least, first time I get to play with this wonderful gentleman who is the beefcake of the group. I think just with all you need to register those weapons, sir. General Andrews, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you. So, correct, I am General Andrews, and if you didn't notice, I do enjoy the color red. So Steve wore the color specifically for me today to hold my hand, because obviously, as much as I am a fan of ttrpg, I'm more of the baby, the little babu of the group in regards to that. So there'll be a little hand holding, especially in today's session 0. But what do? I am a streamer on Twitch who does a lot of nostalgia driven content, from discussions about old retro games, from playing retro games, and then still kind of living in that heyday of wanting to play competitive. So I'll do things like speedrunning and challenge runs. Do I play with potato controllers? No, I don't. But what I'll do sometimes is I'll play with the keyboard as one controller and my controller as another controller, and try to get through a game that's 2 players, but I'm the only player that's actually playing as it. And so those are the things I like to do here on Twitch and other platforms. Thank you so much for having me today, Steve. And I hope I can flex my way through this, because it's not gonna be my brain that gets me through it.
Well, we shall definitely see. Hopefully, the roll of the dice will be in your favor, because and dice is very going to be apt in this. For those who may not, kind of a quick primer of Daggerheart. Daggerheart is a brand new TTRPG system created by Darrington Press. If that sounds familiar, it is Darrington Press is the publishing company from Critical Role. You may have seen potentially Critical Role playing the Daggerheart system on their channel before, but also currently playing the Age of Umbra, which is a custom campaign frame within Daggerheart that was created by Matt Mercer. This is his contribution to the Daggerheart system, and we're going to be playing in his world with my own little special twist, as it were. And the way that Daggerheart works, kind of on a very basic level, is instead of using a D20 dice for our players, we use 2 D12s, and the D12s are represented by hope and by fear. You may have noticed there's like a little fear counter up there. We'll get to that when we in the game, but basically the players, and anytime they want to be able to roll any type of check or attack, they roll both duality dice, that's what they call it, which is both your hope and fear D12s, and that plus any modifiers that your character has based on abilities, experiences, or any features that the character may have, will get added all together, and that will be there'll be a total score, which will hopefully reach the intended score to be able to succeed or fail. But but the way the duality dice works, if your number on your hope die is higher than your fear die, that means you gain a hope, which is the player resource that they can be able to use to do cool stuff within the game. You basically accumulate hope, and also it can mean a great success. However, if your fear die is higher than your hope die, that means the GM gains a fear and can be able to use that at any given point to be able to either add adversaries to the game for the players, introduce a complication for the players, or just, change the story a little bit depending on the situation. So the goal is to roll a success with hope. Doesn't mean that if you roll a success with fear that it doesn't count. The thing may still happen, but I basically gain a fear, and I can interrupt and basically do fun little stuff. So today, the reason why we're streaming this session 0 aspect is that session 0 is part of the storytelling. The Daggerheart is a very narrative focused tabletop system. It is very much a collaborative storytelling, and the rules are just there to kind of guide the story along. And session 0 is basically allowing us to be able to create our characters and find the connections between each other, and figure out how we can be able to interact within the world. You also get to kind of help create a little bit of the world itself. So we're going to be doing that today. So players, are you ready to be able to get started on some Daggerheart stuff?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen actually in just a minute to be able to kind of because I'm also going to be creating a character for to be able to be used as an NPC within this, and I'm going to have basically my players. If you want to open up Demiplane, because we're currently using that system to be able to create a character, and once you get to the create a character screen, let me know and we'll get started.
I am on the created character screen. Should I select Daggerheart?
Make sure to select Daggerheart. It should be the only system that you have access to because I gave everything over there. Actually, I need to add you, Jen.
Yes, please.
And I assume
And it's
basically
generators.
yeah, okay, that's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
Also-
thank you for having very simple usernames for me to be able to spell. Share content. There we go. So you might need to
That's
do a
always
quick.
big thing for me.
Yeah, you might need to
Also,
do a
just
quick
a-
refresh, Jen, just to make sure that the content goes through. But you should be good now. And sorry, yes, Thor.
I was gonna say I think our camera's blacked out.
Oh, sorry, that's my. Yep, that's a Discord thing. All right. Are we good now, or did it black out again?
Knocked out again.
Oh, blacked out again.
Okay. All right. We're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to do something on my end because, well, let's see. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go to my shared screen, and
Ooh, that looks so cute.
did it black out again?
Yes.
Dang.
Are you minimizing the window that we're in?
No, I have not. Should I?
No.
No,
If you can't have it maxed out, so you just need to like shrink it. Don't use the double bubble box.
Oh,
Like,
okay. I might
don't
mess up
use
the
that.
overlay, but I will try this and see
If you just make it the full size, and then you can get outside of it, it should be fine.
Okay. How about now?
No.
Still same thing. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second there, chat. This is the tech issues abound, but
Hi, chat. We appreciate you, chat. Thank you for hanging out today.
Just imagine your favorite elevator music going through your brain at this exact time.
All right, how about now?
Your favorite elevator music.
Blacked out.
blacked out. Wow. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Bum, bum, bum,
Is
bum,
it
bum,
whenever you
bum.
try to pull a window over top of the
Yes.
pulled out?
Let me do this instead.
Um,
There we go. Okay. I will just do this instead, and then I will. Yeah. We shall do this. And
Nice. That looks like it's working.
beautiful.
there we go.
Boom.
Yay. Okay.
Woo,
No.
okay.
We're professionals.
Yeah. And I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so it kind of matches the scene a little bit easier.
Ooh, let's go.
That was fly.
All right. And I apologize. I'm not really like focusing on chat at the moment. I do, but please feel free to chat in our thing. I'm just focusing on a lot of things all at once here. All right, perfect.
Got that.
So if you're at the create a character screen, make sure to select Daggerheart.
Yeah.
And okay, and then first up, you want to be able to put your character name or pronouns. I would say for now, if you don't know your character name, you can just put your name and you can change it later. So I'm going to put my name in there for right now.
Yeah, for now, just put that. That's a good call.
And you are going to be you will be a level 1 character as well, just as a heads up. Okay. Now, before we kind of get started, I do have a little bit of a thing to read for you all because this will kind of help sort of set the potential ideas for characters going. So this is a little bit about the age of Umbra. A century has passed since the god king Otheodus betrayed the pantheon, provoking divine punishment and abandonment by the gods that left the realm of the Halcyon Domain shattered, desolate, and eternally cursed. Throughout this shadow-cloaked land of decaying fortresses and dreadful monstrosities, surviving communities cling to hope in the face of lightless oblivion. In an Age of Umbra campaign, you'll play heroic survivors who protect their community from the terrors beyond their walls, venture out into the unknown to hunt the nightmares that twist and grow with each fallen soul, seek answers to the curses that corrupt this world, and perhaps even discover a way to change its fate. So that's a little bit of the flavor text for Age of Umbra. If you want to know a little bit of kind of like a vibe for this, it's basically Dark Souls, it's Kingdom Death Monster, Berserk, The Seventh Seal, and Blasphemous are the themes kind of for this.
Quick tech check.
Yes.
I just want to see for the other Google captions, do they need to be refreshed?
Oh, do they? Did I just did it just work now?
If it's I don't know if it's broken up. Okay, I think.
No.
Seems to be working.
Okay.
Seems to be working fine. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Please thank you for letting me know.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
And then refresh cams before you go.
Oh, did it not do a thing? Okay. A lot of running all this stuff at once.
Yeah, there they are.
Perfect. And then I will make sure to select this thing. There we go. So there are some things that will the classes that are kind of are part of of Daggerheart. They're actually called Ancestries, and that is generally the type of creatures that you can be able to create within Daggerheart. All ancestries are pretty much available, but there are specific kind of flavoring for some of the classes, the ancestries that are within the Age of Umbra. So Clanks, which are kind of in a Daggerheart, are kind of more like the robot type characters or golem characters, if you're familiar with D&D. But in Age of Umbra, Clanks are often carved from stone and iron, and were originally developed as vessels for holy spirits and messengers. Many stopped functioning and became statues when the gods left the Halcyon Domain. So think of it like a very gothic, angel-like statue. So kind of, if you think of Doctor Who and the with the weeping angels, those kind of statues. That's the Clanks. Now the Ribbits, which are kind of like more frog-like folk, which are kind of generally cute within Daggerheart. They're kind of short little dudes, but like little frogs. In Age of Umbra, though, they are large and often 6 to 8 feet tall and prefer to skulk on all fours when not leaping or standing still. And then there's the Dracona, which are the Dragonborn, essentially kind of parody. In the Halcyon Domain, Dracona are taller and more reptilian in both physicality and proportions. They lean forward as they move, using their tails to balance their weight. And then fairies, which... or if you think of fairies, that's kind of how you would think within Daggerheart, and that's generally how they are. But in Age of Umbra, fairies are more sensitive to the soul blight, which I'll talk about in a minute, than other ancestries, causing their physical appearance to develop in jagged and monstrous ways. So in Age of Umbra, if you've watched that from Critical Role, Taliesin is currently playing a character where he's kind of a spider that got moth wings fused into his back, and that's considered a fairy in this kind of world. Yeah, it's very, very, very scary. So now, there are some distinctions within the world, and I mentioned sort of the soul blight. Soul blight is something that you will come across. If a humanoid NPC or any PC dies, the GM, which is me, can spend a fear to immediately raise them as shambling zombies, or 2 fear to raise them as a brawny zombie, who tirelessly seeks to kill everyone they once cared for. Once their zombie form has been destroyed, the victim's blighted soul withdraws and joins the Umbra, which is the kind of the unseen thing that creeps across the land of the Halcyon Domain and literally destroys and devours and transforms every dead thing it touches. And basically your features could potentially be created as a future Umbra touched adversary. And for the cases of our sort of fun little game, when you die in this game, which potentially you could, you're dead. No coming back. I will take over your character, and God help everyone else.
Thanks so much, Steve. Sounds so safe.
I'm
Hey!
really feeling it.
All right. So with that in mind, we can jump to our sort of our classes, and you've got Bard, Brawler, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph. They have Sorcerer and Warlock, but we're not playing with those because those are kind of like the in play testing right now. But there's also Warrior and Wizard. Just as a heads up, if you want to play a more magical type character, magic in this world is kind of been seen as something from the old gods, and because it's been a century since the gods punished the land, magic is kind of a thing to be hidden. You can still use it, you can still be it, but you have to be protective over it, because some people, if they see you use magic, they may not be sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Tolerant of people with magical abilities. Let's just say that. So, is there any characters that y'all are thinking about? Because they all have there are also domains for both. So let's start with Ellie. What kind of a class are you sort of like leaning towards?
Rogue was kind of the first one that jumped out, which is different than what I normally play.
Okay, we can definitely do that. And
but I like the kind of idea I had was like bounty hunter mercenary kind of idea. So I'm happy to like, also it doesn't have to be a rogue. I could do like a warrior or something stabby stab.
Up to you. I think either or could work within the world itself. So yeah, feel free to work with whichever you want.
If no one else is like jumping into, like, if I don't want to take from anybody else's table, I'm happy to like maneuver around. But rogue would kind of be.
I mean, we could all be the white mage.
Yeah, let's do it.
Potentially, yeah. If you want to do that, I mean, you might be like that might dictate where you are welcomed. Because the way that communities also work within this game is that communities within the Halcyon Domain are not necessarily built around, oh, this is a nice spot. We're gonna it's not about real estate, you know. It's not about the views, as it were. It is a very desolate land. So the way communities are built around, or what they're built around, is actually something called a sacred pyre, which is a fire that could be extinguished, but can't be extinguished by normal means, and it's fueled by a blessed branch. And these pyres can go up to 12 to 15 feet high. And if you are anywhere around a sacred pyre, then the Umbra is vulnerable, and they kind of stay away from those. So that's why communities usually build up around these sacred pyres. So you could y'all could be from a community or you're just trying to find a community with a sacred pyre that to kind of find as a home, or you could be you could just be, you know, I'm sticking with the community we're in now and what have you. It's up to you, but yeah, generally that's how these sort of like little mini communities, towns kind of thing are usually propped up around a sacred pyre.
That's also, Steve, just in between, captions froze again.
Captions froze again? Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that I got kicked from share chat.
From chair chat? Oh, weird. Okay. Oh, yes, you did. Weird. Okay, there we go. Got added back in. A lot of tech stuff I'm running all here, folks.
You're doing great.
All right,
You're doing really, really great.
Ellie, so what are you sort of leaning towards?
I think a rogue, and
Do it.
I think I'd like to do a rogue, and if it's within story, I was thinking a fairy, and doing it more so on the side of like, the wings are like those terrifying butterflies with the eyes. So like it's like
sort of like natural predator camouflage sort of deal.
Yes.
Ah.
And then super incredibly intimidating.
Gotcha. Okay, I like that a lot. So
That's how she is in real life.
So I will say that with the rogues, look into, because there's 2 domains that you basically get to choose from that kind of sort of dictate a little bit of your rogue-like abilities. There's Midnight, which is basically, this is the domain of shadows and secrecy. Whether by clever tricks, death magic, or the cloak of night, those who channel these forces practice the art of obscurity and can uncover sequestered treasures. Midnight offers practitioners the power to control and create enigmas. And then there's Grace. Grace is the domain of charisma. Through rapturous storytelling, charming spells, or a shroud of lies, those who channel this power define the realities of their adversaries. Bending perception to their will, Grace offers its wielders raw magnetism and mastery over language. So you get to choose between one or the other. You can choose different abilities between, but basically those are the domains that you get to choose your abilities from. So Mike, what would you like to be able to choose? Or what are you leaning towards?
Class, right?
Class, yeah, or potentially like you're also your ancestry if you have that in mind too.
So in Overwatch, I am a Reinhardt main.
Okay.
In Marvel Rivals, I am a Vanguard main. So I am heavily leaning against Guardian.
Yes, Guardian would definitely be the tank, or kind of like the almost like a paladin to a degree as well. And that has the domains of Valor and Blade. You'll notice actually that some of these characters kind of share the similar domains. That's kind of on purpose. So you get to kind of like swap between the two. You can have characters that have the same features or abilities as each other if you choose from the same domain, or you can basically decide, okay, one of you choose one from Valor and the other, so that way you're not overlapping. It's completely up to you. But in yours, you use a Valor and Blade. So Valor is the domain of protection, whether through attack or defense. Those who choose this discipline channel formidable strength to protect their allies in battle. Valor offers great power to those who raise their shields in defense of others. Or there's Blade, which is the domain of weapon mastery, whether by steel, bow, or perhaps a more specialized arm. Those who follow this path have the skill to cut short the lives of others. Wielders of Blade dedicate themselves to achieving exonerable power over death. So you get to choose between those two. So while you think about that, Thor, what were you sort of leaning towards?
I'm feeling a little bit inspired by Expedition 33, so I think I'm gonna go with the Brawler. I don't normally go with Monk or Brawler classes, but in this case, I'm feeling a little bit inspired to just be the weapon. So
okay.
I think I'm gonna go with the Brawler class, and singing for my heritage, go with the Qatari, because who doesn't love an awesome cat person? I'm thinking, what makes a Brawler even more dangerous? A little bit of claws here and there. You really don't want to tango with that. So thinking Qatari Brawler.
Okay. Good thing is actually Brawler is currently being play tested as part of Daggerheart's The Void. So they have if you go to daggerheart.com, they have a section called The Void where they have play tests of different classes that you can be able to play with. And Brawler is one of them. It's kind of like sort of the fighter class, I guess. So I'll make sure to be able to make a note of that for tomorrow as well. But yeah, have fun. Yeah, you can definitely be a Qatari Brawler as well. I love that. And Jen, what are you feeling, sir? What would you like to be able to play?
It sounds like I'm like vibing with everyone, because every single thing everyone said, I'm like, that sounds cool. Oh no, wait, that sounds cool. Oh, that sounds so cool. Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna stray away from what everyone else was doing, and I was thinking about being a warrior.
Okay.
And, now when it comes to Ancestry, though, that's kind of something I need a little bit more of a catch up on, because I don't quite understand the parameters for those.
Sure. Actually, I will kind of follow along with the character creation on my end as well, and I think I am going to choose, because if Ellie, you're going rogue, and Mike, you said you were going for Guardian, and
yes.
and Thor's going Brawler, and you're kind of leaning to and Jen, sorry, you were leaning towards Warrior. Okay, so I think. Who do I want to choose? Ooh, I think for the NPC that I'm going to create, I think I'm gonna choose Ranger. And I think I might lean towards the Bone, which is there we go. Bone is the domain of tactics and the body. Practitioners of this domain have an uncanny control over their own physical abilities and an eye for predicting the behaviors of others in combat. Adherents to Bone gain an unparalleled understanding of bodies and their movements. But to read the other one as well, the Sage domain is the domain of the natural world. Those who walk this path tap into the unfettered power of the earth and its creatures to unleash raw magic. Sage grants its adherents vitality of blooming flower and the ferocity of a ravenous predator. So they are kind of like the basically like the almost like the druids in that sense. That's why I think the druid also it has ties into Sage. So I'm gonna go with Ranger for our NPC, and I'm gonna select this class. And let's start choosing. I'm gonna go for I get to choose a subclass within that. I think I'm gonna do I think I'm gonna do Wayfinder for that. Actually, I'm gonna skip this for now. I'm gonna go straight to Heritage so we can be able to choose our ancestry, so we can help you out, Jen, as well. So, what kind of an ancestry are you kind of would you normally want to play, or is there something you want to kind of just try out for the first time?
What are even the options of the ancestors?
So you've got Clank, which are, like I said, kind of more like stone Gothic
so the
statues.
ones that you were describing from earlier.
Yes, Dracona is basically kind of like Dragonborn. You can still choose.
I'll go with the Dracona then, because I was thinking that, but I was like, is that the limitation? Should I be considering other things? So I was actually thinking the Dracona.
No, absolutely. We can definitely do. Actually, I'm not gonna select that for myself. I'm not gonna be a Dracona, but I think I'm gonna be. Yeah. And sorry, and Thor, what was the ancestor you're kind of leaning towards? You said Katari?
Yes.
Okay. So you basically have feline instincts, retracting claws. I like the looks of that. Mike, what were you sort of like leaning towards as far as your ancestry again?
The dwarf.
The dwarf? Makes sense. I love that. Great. And Ellie, what are you thinking? You said fairy, correct?
Fairy.
You're gonna go with the fairy? All right, cool. I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm going to choose. Debating between elf or human for my NPC. I don't know, chat. What do you think? I'll leave this up to you. Put a 1 in the chat for elf, 2 in the chat for human. Let's see what chat decides. I'm gonna bring up my. There we go. Oh, Thor! Thor already 1. Okay, great, awesome, love that.
I was also going to say 1, so I'm
okay.
adding to this.
Okay, we're seeing 1s all basically so far. No 2s. Anyone like? Okay, we see 1, 2. Thank you, Mickey. I appreciate it. The outlier of the group. I love it. Chat type 1. Okay. All right. I see what's going on here. Okay. Oh, Jed, y'all are out to get me. I swear. Okay. No, I kind of was leaning towards potentially an elf, so I was just gonna do it. Whispers loudly. Everyone, do one. Okay, great. Thanks. All right. I'm going to select an elf for that. Now, let's see. We won't do the class stuff just yet because that's kind of a little bit more like nitty gritty for stuff. But now we get to sort of choose a community. Now, a lot of the communities within Daggerheart are Highborn, Loreborn, Orderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, Underborn, Wonderborn, and Wildborn. I know, a lot of borns. But no born identity. However, there are some sort of stuff that is Age of Umbra sort of flavored, so that I can at least be able to bring that up as well. And blacked out again. Okay, that's probably because of
also captions.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it. And we're gonna switch over to that and go towards Okay. Is there a community that anyone is feeling towards? Ellie, what are you thinking?
Community?
Yeah. So if you go to within the demi-plane,
Heritage.
in heritage, it's under heritage, and it's underneath your ancestry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the.
All good. All good.
Sorry, I was behind a tab and looking at things and reading things.
All good. All good.
There's a lot of fun things.
I definitely like it because you got some of the more cliche things like you're a wandering nomad, but I also think like there's some ones that are just very simple and very nice to build into, and I love that.
Yep. Is there anything, Ellie, that you're kind of like have questions on, or like you kind of leaning towards?
Just reading. I am probably more. I'm looking more at like Underborn or Wanderborn, like not really having a community, not really having.
Did you look at Wildborn?
A super core. I would know. I'm just was looking at that.
Okay.
One.
Yeah. So I would say. Yeah, I could. I mean, you could all choose like each different sort of community, but you could basically be together, because also part of the session 0 is kind of building connections between the characters. So there could be some that you can come from the same community, or you know each other from before, and you kind of found this group together. But yeah, Underborn basically are kind of like the in Age of Umbra, the numerous underground societies claimed space within caverns beneath the surface, but only some of these communities have made contact with the surface since the abandonment of the gods. Some cavernous metropolises, now half buried by crumbling earth, fight to survive against the terrors that stalk the underworld tunnels. Others build anew with the vacant remains of societies of yore, hoping to uncover secrets to better their fortunes. Wonderborn is kind of basically, as you said, Ellie, is kind of like you don't have a community. Many Wonderborn communities either flee destruction to start anew elsewhere, or uproot themselves frequently for fear of attracting the wild's worst horrors. Others might be made up of survivors with common purpose. A life where braving the deadly chaos of the world is also a quest for answers. A Wonderborn character might have spent their life on the run due to circumstance or danger, or felt the subtle desperation of the realm and refused to sit still. And then, yeah, there's Wildborn. Basically, the natural world beyond any settlement walls is as dangerous and as dark as it is expansive and beautiful. Sprawling haunted woodlands filled with deadly mutated wildlife often hide vibrant glades of natural aether. Aether is what they call the magic in this world, where bioluminescent flora offers a sign of solace or magical protection against the consuming darkness. When a player creates a Wildborn character, they should consider how their character's homeland carved its place of peace among the twisting vines and brambles. So
Blackout.
Still Blackout? Okay, well.
Yeah, it's been going back and forth. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's all good. This will be tomorrow fixed, because I'll be using a laptop to be able to bring up all this other stuff, so I don't have to skip between different things.
No worries.
Gotcha.
Yeah, depending on what the party wants to do, those are the 3 that are popping out to me. But also, I could do the Wanderborn and kind of find my way into anybody else's community as well.
Okay, I like that. So you started as a Wonderborn, but maybe like became like a.
Yeah, I think it's that or the Underborn that are really like drawing to me.
Okay. All right, so that works. Choose whichever you feel like. Mike, what are you sort of leaning towards?
Well, we're my trusty wheelchair, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
It was built in the depths of the mountains of the Viridian Alps.
Okay.
Because
Love
we are Ridgeborn dwarves.
Okay. And I believe within the Daggerheart, let me bring that up. I think that might have just also blacked out. Nope, did not. Okay. So let's see what.
I don't know how much your character is going to like the cold, but we do have abundant fires deep inside the dwellings of the mountains.
All right, yeah, Ridgeborn. The mountain ranges of the Halcyon Domain are varied, imposing, and prone to extended cold winds that carve the rock into jagged spires and winding valley clefts. Networks of ancient wood and stone bridges stretch across wide gaps in mountain passes, and the ones that haven't fallen to weather or time became deeply important and well protected by the nearby Ridgeborn communities that maintain them. Hardened and sturdy people forged by the harsh environment, Ridgeborn characters might be scouts, hunters, or trade sentinels within their community. Some Ridgeborn villages keep vigil over mountainside tombs and sites of old world knowledge, clinging to ancient oaths that fades more with each generation. That's what you're kind of leaning towards there, Mike?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm leaning in heavily into, you could say stereotypical dwarf, but there'll be a reason once you've understood my presence.
Cool. All right, Thor. What are you leaning towards, my friend?
You know, I feel like honestly, one thing that might be fun here is the Loreborn. Being part of a Loreborn community means you're from a society that favors strong academic or political prowess. And I figured, you know, it would probably be fun to be a character within the society who's not necessarily the most academic and is almost to a degree looked down upon by their peers. But maybe that's from lack of experience or being a much younger person. And they'd rather more so get into explore the more punchy side of academia rather than the debating side of academia.
Okay, so within the Age of Umbra, you basically, if you're coming from a Loreborn, you kind of are coming from a very old world ruin. So whether that's kind of like more like a temple or a very old city that is kind of in a way almost like still sort of standing. If you look at there will be a map within Age of Umbra. It's kind of like the Amber Reach is the largest sort of city that kind of still is standing, but it's very ruined. And a lot of people live there, but you kind of are interested in potentially maybe like, yeah, if you're not maybe interested in the education, but you're kind of maybe want to understand a little bit of the old world, you may have potential knowledge or at least grew up in an area where that knowledge is either essential or just people are constantly trying to be able to learn more about what happened. Because basically once the gods destroyed the world or the Halcyon Domain, a lot of that knowledge is gone, and people are trying to rediscover that to learn more about their past. So,
could I be like more so on the academic side of trying to discover lost fighting styles in an academic sense, but also through.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
So that could be, they even say, like, consider which facets of the old world they cling to. So I like that. You kind of want to be able to cling to sort of the way to be able to try to protect themselves. So if anything comes against your community or the people that you're with, you know that you could be able to, like, it's a tried and true method that works to be able to protect people. So I like that. Cool. Jen.
Also cams.
Oh, cams again? Thank you. Sorry. I'm so sorry, Chad.
No, you're okay.
I'm trying my best.
See, I thought Thor earlier was going to say, I'm going to debate you, but I'm going to debate you with these fists.
That could work too. I love that. Cool. Jen, what are you sort of thinking about where you came from?
Okay, I'm kind of mixed between two, and I can't quite decide yet. It's between highborn and lowborn.
Okay.
And so now it'd be kind of cool to be from the same community as Thor, I'm thinking, but at the same time, I was kind of considering where my character and what he's been through. And obviously being of Dracona ancestry, I'm kind of thinking there is a has been kind of rubbing the elbows and shoulders with those of noble life and things of that nature. However, though, carries this burden of, even though being of draconian ancestry, doesn't possess the full wings, doesn't possess the life that a dragon used to be living free and in charge. And so there's this chip on his shoulder, so to speak, that's also maybe been contributed by society in its own way. So I'm kind of I'm picturing between one of those two. And so maybe if you give a little bit more on highborn, maybe that might make a difference in my decision.
I mean, highborn. Let me know if cams are gone. just in case. Okay. Yeah, it should be good. So Highborn, some communities managed to carve out surviving section of an old world cityscape, reinforcing barricades and battlements within a deadly urban ruin while enjoying the spoils of sacking the remnants of the past age's high society. Others were lucky enough to build a new township near a resource-rich location where those who rose to power could enjoy an uncommon life of comparable luxury. It is in these places that fractions of thieves and thugs thrive, whether in the employ of their leadership or by eroding them from below. Highborn communities within the Age of Umbra are extremely rare and are often either based on the ghost of an old world political power or newly forged tyranny built on recovered or stolen resources. Opulence in these dark times is scarce but hedonistic, reserved for those close to ruling powers and protected with promises of influence or threats of violence. I would say if you kind of are maybe not necessarily leaning towards like the criminal element of it, I could definitely see you basically because Dragonborn are kind of considered a little bit older than most races. I can definitely see you potentially being from a Highborn society, or at least you had either your father or your parents or your grandparents was alive during the when the gods blighted the land. So they were part of the old world. So I could see where you maybe had a dynasty that of a family that was highborn. If you want to do that and maybe kind of live in a loreborn like society, like with Thor, if you want to still do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that then.
Okay,
I like what you said. Yeah.
Cool.
I was gonna say if our characters know each other, that's fine by me.
I'm okay with that too. You know, I'm just saying.
Cool. All right, and as far as my NPC, I'm not going to do this as a chat choice because I've been screwed by that already. But
So you mean it's a party choice?
Yeah, sure. I have a specific kind of like maybe like story thing in mind. I'm kind of leaning towards. I'm debating between right now Wildborn and Seaborn.
Ooh. Is it Seaborn because your affinity for the sea life?
Yes, that's basically what. That's exactly what it is. So actually, you know what? No, I'm reading over right now. I think I'm gonna choose Orderborn. Because it's being part of an Orderborn community means you are from a collective that focuses on discipline or faith, and you uphold a set of principles that reflect your experience there. And then within the it's the same as the Loreborn as well. So I think that's kind of where I'm potentially leaning towards. So I think I'm gonna do Orderborn for my ranger, my elf ranger. Very like fantasy focused, but don't worry, I got a thing in mind.
Listen here, Legolas.
Am I gonna be the Gimli? Am I the Gimli?
God, I love you all very much. All right, so we're gonna jump back to the class features because this is where we can be able to basically start going into the more specific stuff. So within Demiplane, we're gonna have you choose a subclass. Now some may have more than others. I currently have with my ranger Beastbound and Wayfinder. But is there anyone else that has fun little stuff on theirs that they can build, that they are leaning towards?
I honestly, there's two on here, and they're both interesting me: Juggernaut and Martial Artist.
Ooh.
Part of me just wants to choose Juggernaut to say I'm the Juggernaut.
Yeah, that could work.
But yeah, no, honestly, I'm leaning more towards that one. Like they both look very fun though.
Cool. Mike, what about you? What are you thinking?
They're making it pretty easy for me to like select on like making my tank build stalwart.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, with the names Unwavering and Iron Will, in as a guardian, I am definitely. This is leaning into kind of like the nickname that I would bestow upon myself.
Cool.
That was not self-bestowed, given throughout the land. And
Sure. Yeah, by your community or by folks with that know you or get to know you a little bit, or maybe your legend has grown within the Ridgeborn communities across the mountainscape of the Halcyon Domain. I can definitely go with that. Jen, what about you? What are you sort of thinking of as your subclass?
I'm thinking Call of the Brave.
Okay.
Ooh.
And therefore, I mean, I'm really liking the idea that whenever I fail a roll with fear, I automatically gain hope because of being draconian. It's like I'm picturing where it's like, bad things might happen, but they've always risen and survived up until this point with all things that have potentially happened. So that's kind of where my brain's like, okay, you might have failed, get back up, keep moving.
Cool. Love it. Yes, by all means, the big thumbs up for me. Ellie, what are you leaning towards?
The Night Walker.
Oh, what is that one?
Okay.
Shadow Stepper. I can move from shadow to shadow when you move into an area of darkness or shadow cast by another creature or object.
I love that.
You can reappear in another shadow within far range, and when you reappear, you're cloaked, and it.
I'm sorry. What?
Oh, I love this.
This is
How
great.
my character? How big is my shadow?
This is great.
Make shadows.
I just imagine Ellie just appearing underneath somebody's shadows and just yanking their ankles out from under them.
Here's
Just
the thing. She's Batman. Exactly. See, Shadow goes. Also, Matt also agrees with me. I love that. Yeah. See, she's Batman or Batgirl. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Bat person. Bat person. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I think I'm going to choose Wayfinder, which is a specific ranger thing. It is Ruthless Predator. When you make a damage roll, you can mark a stress to gain a +1 bonus to your proficiency. Additionally, when you deal severe damage to an adversary, they must mark a stress. And this is like, we'll get into a lot of the kind of what all this explains during the game, but then also as we look at our character sheets later on. Path Forward also is one I have. So when you're traveling to a place you previously visited, or you carry an object that has been at the location before, you can identify the shortest, most direct path to your destination. So I am going to choose that one for myself. All right. And now we can, if you want to go to your traits, the way that traits work, there are 6 abilities to be able to choose from: your agility, strength, finesse, instinct, and presence, and knowledge. If you look, there are definitely specific kind of descriptions for each of them, and I'll kind of show a little bit more. So agility is for sprinting, leaping, maneuvers. Strength is for lifting, smashing, or grapple. Finesse is for control, hide, or tinker. Instinct, perceive, sense, and navigate. Presence is charm, perform, deceive. Knowledge, which is recall, analyze, comprehend. And those are, if they sound familiar to kind of like similar to D&D, that's kind of that's basically how it is. Now within Demiplane, you can choose how you want this, but you are limited. You can't just, there's not a, like in D&D where you roll 4d6 and drop the lowest one, and you get to put that into your ability scores or your traits. You have the ability to be able to add a +2 and +2 and 2 +1s, and the rest are 0. Now there is a checkbox in Demiplane to be able to use the suggested traits based on your class and your heritage. So for mine,
I believe. Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
I believe there is a -1 on there as well.
Oh, sorry, a -1. Yes, no, that's right. I did not scroll down long enough to be able to see. Yes, so yeah, +2, 2 +1s, and a -1, and the rest are 0s. So mine, the suggested traits based on Demiplane is going to +2 to agility, +0 to strength, +1 to finesse, +1 to instinct, -1 to presence, and +0 to knowledge. Is anyone kind of like leaning towards potentially the suggested traits, or do you want to be able to customize a little bit?
Customize.
Customize.
You can go customize.
So
Okay.
I went with the suggested traits.
Okay.
+1 on agility. You'll see why, depending on my weapons.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
strength is +2. Finesse. You're gonna hear me coming, and you better get out of my way.
All right.
So I'll let you know that is my -1. 0 on instinct, 1 on presence. Cause hey, you gotta hear me also.
Yep.
And then knowledge, I'm at 0.
Love that. Love that. Okay. And what about the rest of you? You kind of going again? Still going custom, or are you kind of still deciding?
Just finalizing my thoughts on it, and then I can.
Well, talk it out. Talk it out. What do you what are you thinking about?
I guess my question is, like, do certain classes lean towards certain things? Like, when you're looking at combat, how does strength tie into that? Because I know I'm choosing more of a brawler class.
Mm-hmm.
So are there things that I want to look at? Like, you know, there's intimidation stuff here, but there's also like finesse, other things like that. And I guess my question is, depending on how you would role play this in a more role play scenario versus what is going to be more combat oriented, I guess is my question.
Well, strength will definitely come into play, I think, with brawler. I haven't looked at the brawler specific because that is a sort of a new one, a class that they're sort of play testing, but I can definitely look at it for tomorrow. But I think strength, it definitely would help in combat for sure, because if you want to be able to like land a really powerful punch, strength would definitely help with that. If you kind of want to more be kind of like more like a monk or a martial artist, then finesse would probably be your better role, or agility. So I think agility, strength, or finesse would be your if you want to be definitely combat focused, without minus the role play aspect. Those would be the three that I would probably lean towards.
I was very curious because, like, when I looked at what the suggested traits are, and I really like the fact that it has suggested traits, because I feel like that's sometimes a very hard part about figuring out what do I do in a game like this. And
if you look at the blank character sheets that Daggerheart has created, you can go to their website and download like blank PDF sheets for each one. Each class has its own character sheet, and they give you suggested the suggested ones right there. So if you've never played Daggerheart, you can literally pick up a character sheet and just easily figure out how to build where everything goes, which is great.
Awesome.
We appreciate ease of use.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I was just gonna say one last thing. Like, I noticed for when I did check and see, you know, what is the expected set your traits or what is the suggested ones. Instinct was one of them, which is more like tracking or keen sense of your surroundings and a natural intuition. You make an instinct roll to sense danger, notice details in the world around you, or track an elusive foe, which I found very interesting for a juggernaut.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely go with that. That sounds good to me. Jen, what about you?
Okay, so now that I've had some time to think on it, I've kind of switched mine up a little bit here. So the suggested trait says agility should be +2 and strength should be +1. I flip-flop those.
Okay.
Because I, in my mind, I'm imagining a little bit more of his will to utilize his, his ancestry's strength and everything that goes along with it. I'm picturing him doing a lot more grappling, a lot more smashing than am I looking that he's going to necessarily maneuver out of the way by being such a big target anyways.
Gotcha.
It's impossible, but that's kind of where my mind was going. And then presence I still left as -1 based off of how I'm picturing it. But now I had instinct +1. Instead, I decided to flip that with knowledge, because I feel also because he comes from the old world, he's also going to have a really good job of recalling, analyzing, and just comprehending, because it's been passed down not just for centuries, but for millennia.
I love that. Ooh, I love that y'all are like thinking about character stuff. Like, this is great. This is why I love this group so much. Ellie, what about you? What are you sort of thinking about?
So I looked at the suggested traits, and they're fairly close to what I want to do. They suggested a +2 finesse, a +1 to agility, and -1 to strength. And they said a +1 to presence. I am switching out the presence for instinct, because I think that I did end up picking the like underworld.
The community, underworld community, or underborn?
The underworld community. So I was thinking she's more on the sense of like navigating, sensing, perceiving, like standing back, less on the needing to talk her way out of things. She's more just like a physical intimidation space than instead of like her verbal cues.
Gotcha. Okay.
Also, I
yeah.
was just gonna say one thing I did do. I think I'm gonna switch my instinct for strength, because I just see my character being a lot more strength oriented, and maybe take off the knowledge and maybe put that towards instinct, because I feel like my character is very much about understanding martial arts styles, but also being the brawly type.
Love that. Okay, that works. And I think for my NPC, my elf ranger, I'm leaning towards definitely. I think the using the suggested traits. I was sort of debating on sort of maybe swapping out the knowledge and presence a little bit, just to kind of give a little bit of not necessarily charm or charisma to my character, but I think that I was still sticking with the suggested traits, because I think that she is a little bit more knowledgeable than necessarily like being able to talk to people really well. Rangers are kind of like, they sort of go out in the wild, and they kind of are they don't usually interact with a lot of people, and we'll see kind of how that works in tomorrow. I'm gonna skip the starting weapons for right now, because that will deal with the combat wheelchair, because that is kind of considered how that works. So we'll jump straight to choosing starting armor. Now this where there might be some that are suggested in yours. Mine is kind of considered, they suggest leather armor, but you can basically choose either chainmail, full plate, gambeson, which is kind of that, that quilted sort of like medieval, like a Knights of the Round Table kind of like material.
The picker upper.
Kind of, almost, yeah. That's the kind of what a gambeson armor is like. So is anyone like leaning towards a potentially a different type of armor?
So I guess my question is there downsides to picking out like heavy plate armor? Like, do you move slower?
Yeah, so there is a bit of it will affect kind of like your potentially like your agility score, but if you notice there where it says armor score, the way that armor works within Daggerheart, and I have to kind of back up because it also involves dealing with HP. HP, there is no like set number like in D&D where you have like 80 HP for a character. It would, depending on the character class and ancestry, it also depends on how much HP blocks you have, and the way you take damage is your character will have what they call thresholds. There is minor threshold, major threshold, or severe threshold. And minor, those thresholds are based on kind of like numbers. So say for instance, a 7 is your minor, and 11 is your major, and anything beyond that is kind of a severe. So if you take minor damage, you take 1 hit point. If you take major damage, you take 2 hit points. If you take severe damage, you take 3. And if the severe damage, the number that's the damage die, or the damage number is doubles your severe damage threshold, that's 4 health points. And the way that armor works is that you can be like each armor thing that you have, or depending on how much armor your character can have, you can use an armor to bring down that threshold. So you can go from severe to major to minor, and you can even go to minor to where you don't take any damage at all. Armor is scarce, especially at a level 1. So you only have a few armor slots to be able to use. And you can use, there are some even other stuff that you can be able to use to help other players as well, with kind of utilizing an armor slot to help another player so they can lower their damage. And I think guardians and warriors definitely can help out with that as well. So there's a bit of that. But if you notice on your armor, on the armor that you can choose from, depending on the armor you choose, basically you can have either like chainmail and full plate has an armor score of 4, and gambeson and leather have an armor score of 3. So you get 3 or 4 armor slots to use.
Now, I guess my only other question is, does selecting armor change the how you use your weapons or anything like that, or is it not impeding in that way?
I have to double check. That is something I will have to look at for tomorrow. I don't think so. I think there are definitely, like, because the way that weapons are, it's very simplified where it's primary and secondary weapons. Primary weapons essentially can allow you to build, you can select just one, and you can either set it as just a one-handed weapon or two-handed, similar to like how you would in any other ttrpg. And then you can have like a secondary weapon that can act as like a shield or a different weapon. So you can have like dual swords, dual daggers, a bow and arrow, and a shield, or what have you. But I don't think, from what I understand, that would impede on using certain ones. Demiplane may have a sort of like a specific thing for choosing weapons, so you can be able to go in and change things if you need to. But that is something I will have to look up to specifically if you're kind of leaning towards one or the other.
No worries. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So I'm choosing leather armor for mine because that is the suggested one for me. But what are you all sort of leaning towards?
I'm doing the suggested, which was the Gabison armor.
Okay.
Because it adds to your evasion.
Cool. And yeah, you can actually be able to click on the little down arrow to be able to see like the different things.
Definitely been using that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really...
Because
it's giving a lot of information that you need, but in like bite-sized pieces, which is really nice.
So actually, Thor, I did just realize I probably should have just clicked on the little down arrow. That would help. So if you're, which one are you leaning towards?
Probably leather armor. It just seems to be more in line with everything else. So
okay. So yeah, your base thresholds with that leather armor, and then your subclasses and your ancestry can basically change these as well. But the base thresholds for leather armor, just to kind of bring the chat up to speed, is 6 and 13. So basically, if I roll, if I'm doing damage to a player, and if I roll and is 6 or below, that's considered minor damage. If I roll between 6 and 13, that's considered major damage. If I roll above a 13 on damage, that's severe. So that's how that sort of works. And again, armor plates can be able to be utilized to bring those thresholds down. You'll notice that in this sort of setting that there is going to be a lot of times where you're going to be like, I have 1 HP left and I don't have any armor, so I can't take any more damage, and you might need some help from that. So just as a heads up. We're going to skip sort of starting inventory for right now, because I think that we're going to do domain cards for now, and then I think... because I also want to go over some of the disability mechanics. Because for those who are wondering in chat, I have created sort of an analog to, or some disability mechanics that are not in Daggerheart. These are my own homebrew mechanics I've been working on for sort of translating them from D&D to Daggerheart. These are something I've been kind of working on in the background since I got the book, because there is no specific disability mechanics within the book itself. They do have a lot of consideration. They have a section where you can learn how to be able to best represent disabilities in a game, and they do have the combat wheelchair, which is the same combat wheelchair mechanics, but translated to Daggerheart, that is used from D&D, created by Mark Thompson. We've used that in Dungeons and Disabled before. I think Mike and I think Ellie as well. I think you've had the combat wheelchair at some point in one of my games. So yeah, we use the combat mechanics for that. This actually, when we get to that, combat mechanics for combat wheelchair are much simpler in Daggerheart, which is such a huge hit. So I think what we're going to do, is it okay if we take a break and then we can kind of jump back in and kind of continue on with character creation? Would that be all right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool.
Fantastic.
All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break and go stretch, go hydrate, go use the little Umbra's room. I don't know why I said it that way.
Definitely.
And we'll be right back when we'll continue on with our session 0 content. So BRB, everybody. And welcome back. Hope you had a good rest, chill moment for yourselves, because tomorrow's one shot definitely won't be chill, and it won't be relaxful. It's going to be brutal, and we'll see how brutal it can get, because that is part of the character creation of Session 0. For those who may not know, you're just tuning in. I'm Steve Saylor. This is the Unbroken, an Age of Umbra story, Session 0. We're playing in the Daggerheart. There'll be a Daggerheart one-shot, because we're currently streaming on both. I know that we're streaming on both my channel as well as Thor's channel and Ellie's channel, and we're doing this as an experiment, and so far it's working. I think everyone's watching everyone at the same time. This is great. So welcome on in everyone in those communities and share chats and everything. So yay, glad you're all here. And so make sure to tune in tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern and 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, because that is when we're going to be starting the actual one shot that we are doing a Session 0 for today. Okay, so moving forward in our character creation steps here, let's jump into the domain cards, the domain deck cards, because there are each I can't see what everyone else is currently. I can only see what mine are, but each class and also because like I said, the domain cards, each class has this cross between two, and depending on which class you have is there's different ones to be able to that you can sort of choose from. They kind of represent Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex, Grace, Midnight, Sage, Splendor, and Valor. And there are special features and abilities that are within each. Think of this, if you're thinking D&D, this is where you can be able to choose your spells, but they're all represented as cards, and you have you are limited to what you can be able to choose from. If I remember correctly, you can only choose 2 at the start for level 1 characters. So make sure to you can only choose 2 out of the cards that are available. So while everyone's sort of like looking in theirs, I'm gonna kind of start to look into mine. So my domains are Bone and Sage, and I think what I am going to choose, because I am level 1, is I think I'm potentially leaning towards Death Maneuvers, which is once per rest, mark a stress. Just sprint anywhere within far range without making an agility roll to get there. If you end this movement within melee range of an adversary and immediately make an attack against them, gain a +1 bonus to the attack roll. So I'm going to select that. And the other one, I think... I'm debating between Untouchable and I See It Coming. Untouchable basically allows you to gain a bonus to your evasion equal to half your ability. Or I See It Coming is when you're targeted by an attack made from beyond melee range, you can mark a stress to roll a d4 and gain a bonus to your evasion equal to the result against the attack. So, I think I might choose Untouchable. I mean, they both kind of use, yeah. I think with what I have in mind, I think I'm going to choose Untouchable as my elf ranger. So those are my 2 that are selected. What did everyone else choose, or are you still thinking?
The ones that I was looking at were under Blade, and it doesn't have to stay this way, but at the moment I was looking at Get Back Up. So when you take severe damage, you can make a stress, mark a stress to reduce the severity by 1 threshold.
Okay, that's that really, yeah, that could definitely work, because that's another so stress, for those who don't know, for Daggerheart, that is another resource that you can be able to use to, again, utilize these domain cards, which are your abilities to be able to do. There's other ones that you'll be able to spend hope to be able to do as well, if you notice that with for those who are looking at right now, but marking a stress means it's kind of similar to, it's a limited resource, so it is similar to HP, but you're not you mark a stress to be able to do a thing. But I will say, if you do reach if you run out of stress points, if you if you have to mark a stress for a thing, if I as a GM basically say, okay, you have to mark a stress for something, or one of my enemy's abilities has you mark a stress, if you have to mark a stress that's beyond your current used stress, you automatically lose a hit point. So it transfers over from stress to hit points. And you also, if you have full stress, you're also vulnerable, which means that enemies have advantage against you. So, and that's permanent. So you can get rid of some stress. So just as a little heads up there. All right, cool. So Jen, what was the second one?
Not good enough. When you roll your damage dice, you can re-roll any 1s or 2s.
Okay, I love that. Okay, that could definitely.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, I really picture that my character just will not is stubborn. As stubborn as can be, which is just pretty much me. So I'm taking myself and I'm injecting it into the storyline a little bit.
Hell
so
yes.
Bear with me, everyone.
I was
Love
gonna say,
that.
I feel like "get up" is your push-up phrase, and "not good enough" is your pull-up phrase.
More push-ups, more.
Yeah, so that does remind me as well, because you said about reroll 1s and 2s. So I should let you know how critical successes works also in Daggerheart. So instead of normally in D&D, your critical success is you roll a natural 20. In Daggerheart, if you roll doubles on both your fear and your hope die, that's a crit. So if you roll double 1s, it's still a critical success. So I was going to save that to basically be in the moment if all of a sudden you feel like you fail because you rolled the double 1s and you're like, no, you failed. That's a crit. That's a crit. And what's great about crits, if you're in a combat scenario, if you roll crit on a combat roll, you get you'll notice that when you go into weapons, that a weapon has a specific die associated with it. Critical success for a die, normally in D&D it's double it's double the die roll. You actually, in critical success, you actually basically you take max damage on that die, plus you get to roll that die and add on top of that. So if one of your weapons is a D10 plus 3 and you roll a crit success, you automatically get 10, which is max on the D10 die. You roll another. You roll your D10. If you get say a 5, that's now 15 plus your 3. That's now 18 damage. So that's how critical successes work within Daggerheart, which I think is actually kind of neat. The reason why they go with dual D12s is that it actually has a better chance of players actually being able to get a decent roll instead of relying on the randomness of a D20. So it's the curve of good rolls is a little bit easier within D12s, which is nice. So all right, well let's go with Mike. What kind of domain cards are you leaning towards, or have you chosen?
Let's see. So in my I guess what's it called? The domains.
Yep.
It's Valor and Blade.
Yes.
And I obviously need to go with the one titled "I Am Your Shield."
Yeah. Why don't you describe what the I Am Your Shield does?
Yeah, it says when an ally within very close range would take damage, you can mark a stress to stand in the way and make yourself the target of the attack instead. When you take damage from this attack, you can mark any number of armor slots.
Yep. So basically, Mike can be able to, if they're very close to you, because that's also another thing with Daggerheart is that they don't deal with feet sort of ranges. It's melee, very close, far, and very far, and that's kind of they do it if you're playing with minis and stuff like that. They kind of there's things like the length of a pencil or the width of a sheet of paper to kind of designate kind of that sort of size. But we'll be doing this as sort of theater of the mind, so we won't have to worry about that sort of distance. I'll be letting you know whether you are in very close or melee range. But Mike's ability will allow him to be able to, if there's going to be damage, say going to Ellie. Mike can be able to do is I'm your shield and take that damage from Ellie. So this will help if someone is going to basically die from hit points. And I'll get to how death saves work in just a little bit as well. So okay, and so that's your first one. What do you think is your second?
I like the resilience and how get back what up is. But I want to take a look at forceful push.
Okay.
It reads, make an attack with your primary weapon. It's gonna be fun with my primary weapon.
Yes.
Against a target within melee range. On a success, you deal damage and knock them back to close range. On success with hope, add a d6 to your damage roll. Additionally, you can spend a hope to make them temporarily vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. So that means that you will all have advantage on enemy attacks. And the way that advantage works is that you get to add a d6 roll to your die. And if you are rolling at disadvantage, you are rolling a d6 die, but you are taking that as a penalty to your score. So there's no like rolling 2 to be able to do like to get 1 or to take the higher. That's how it works. It's all based on the d6 die, depending on plus or minus to your roll. So cool. I like that. That fits really well with, I think, with the character you're trying to be able to build, which is great. Thor, what about you? What are you leaning towards?
You know, I feel like going the class I am with the Juggernaut, it makes sense to choose bare bones, which is when you choose not to equip armor, you have base armor score of 3 plus your strength, and use the following as your base damage thresholds: tier 1 9 through 19, tier 2 11 through 24, tier 3 13 through 31, and tier 4 15 through 38. And of course, knowing that, and once again going back to the whole going back to the brawler bit, I think it'd be really fun to also have forceful push here, just because there's nothing funnier than giving somebody the old anime knockback punch.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I love that. That's perfect. So sorry, was that your first card or your second? Both your cards?
Both my cards.
Oh, okay, cool.
Bare bones and the forceful push. That's the one.
That's gonna be a very interesting one, especially with the thresholds as well, because that'll mean you're a little bit you're gonna be a little bit beefy, and hard to be able to take down. So I'm gonna have to take note of that for later. You don't need to worry about that right now.
I'm a Dark Souls player. It's fine. I got this.
Mid-maxing your build. Love that. Ellie, what about you? What are you thinking for your dark Batman or Bat person type character?
So I have one for sure, and it's called Rain of Blades. Spend a hope to make a spell cast roll and conjure throwing blades that strike out at a target within very close range. Targets you succeed against take D8 plus 2 magic damage using my proficiency. If a target you hit is vulnerable, they also take an extra 1d8.
Cool.
And then I'm between 3. One where basically I talk to people and they become enraptured and can only get stuck on me. And I was thinking that might work with the idea of the wings.
Like natural, like open, okay.
It's like kind of like a pull in, and then they get stress. They get 1 stress if that happens.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Or I'm super good at picking locks, magical or non-magical.
That works.
And stealing items.
Cool. I should also mention as well that how damage is sort of done in Daggerheart. There's only 2 types of damage: physical and magical. Physical is obviously anything that deals with punches and swords and stuff, and magical is anything with spells. So there is some kind of like, depending on which one, kind of damage you do, there is some that are vulnerable or not so vulnerable with to either or. But for basically, it's that's the only 2 types of damage. So we don't have to worry about necrotic or force damage or anything like that. It's just simple magical and physical. Cool. Okay. And
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When Ellie does, for example, my brain does what was that move called, the focus move, where they're focusing on you?
Enrapture.
Does that get broken when she goes into the shadow move?
Oh.
So it's on a success, they become temporarily enraptured. While enraptured, a target's attention is fixed on you, narrowing their field of view and drowning out any sound but my voice. Once per rest on a succeed, I can mark a stress to force and rapture target to mark a stress as well.
I can sort of see that, like if you're in the shadows and all of a sudden they're hearing kind of like just and just only you can hear your voice. I'm Batman. Yeah, it just that's all you hear. It's like
the shadows.
Yeah. Voice from the shadows.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Cool. Was that your first card or second card or both?
So the first card is the Rain of Blades.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
And then the second card, I was debating between the Pick a Lock or this one, but this one just seems too fun for RP senses as well as damage.
Okay.
So I can't not pick it.
Okay. I love that. That's perfect. Okay. I think everyone's chosen their domain cards then, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll skip the starting inventory for right now. Let's jump to starting weapons. So you get to decide again between whether you want to have you have up to two. Basically, you can choose as a primary and a secondary weapon. But there are certain primaries that are two-handed that you can only choose one. So for me, I think I'm going to lean towards. Where is that? I think. Do I just go full like stereotypical ranger and just go longbow or crossbow?
What other projectile type weapons are there?
You got a crossbow. Let's see. I can do daggers. I can do it's glowing ring sort of grappler. Let's see. There's a hand crossbow or a longbow. Actually, no, I have access to more. Hold on. I can also choose short bow, small daggers, spears. I guess I can throw those. And a whip. I guess technically is a thing for that. I think. Is it weird? I'm kind of like leaning towards like glowing rings.
No, I was just looking at those. I think those are those like chakrams? Like
Kinda. It's the way I sort of see it is it's similar to basically my assumption is I have to double check to look. It's kind of like Shang-Chi's rings.
Yeah, Oh, yeah. Ooh, you should totally go with that.
Because that does give me a D10 plus 1 magic damage, and it works for very close range. Trader's ability. It's a two-handed weapon, so I can only choose one of these.
Question on
Yes.
that. So because of the way that damage is done in this, I see that says D10 plus 1. So is it the plus 1 is the magic damage, or is it the D10 plus 1 is the magic damage?
That's the total damage. So it's a D10 plus 1, and depending on your proficiency, which is when you level up, you actually get to increase your proficiency, which means you get to increase the number of die for that weapon. So if you are at a tier 2, which is level 1 is tier 1, level 2 or tier 2 is levels 2 to 4, and I believe tier 3 is from 5 to 10. So 10 is the max level you can choose from.
And just checking for quick clarification. So
Yes.
the D10 is the die you roll. The plus 1 is just an addition to that, but it's all magic damage.
It's all
correct?
magic damage. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
thank
And
you.
so depending on your proficiency, this won't really matter to y'all within the game itself, but because we all are going to be basically level 1s, and I don't foresee y'all being able to level up during our one shot. But basically, if you increase your proficiency or you increase your tier, that means so if I choose glowing rings, if I go up to like tier 2, that means I get to do 2d10 plus 1 instead of just 1d10. So if you do see something that's in your weapons that's just labels as a d10 or d8, that means just one of those dies, not multiple. So but I think for me though, I'm thinking about like maybe just bucking tradition and maybe going with a sword instead of a bow. Oh no, you know what? Ooh, wait. Okay. Wait. I think I know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I think this could be interesting. Let me just double check. on some other weapons here. Yeah, I could do that. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna.
What is that?
Returning blade. It's a D. It does 1d8 magic damage. When this weapon is thrown within its range, which is close range, it appears in your hand immediately after the attack.
That is sick.
I was doing those.
So I think I'm gonna do, but don't let my decision stop you, Ellie, from choosing. If you want to choose returning blades, absolutely choose those. I think I'm gonna choose that for myself, for my NPC, and I think I'm going to go with. This could be an. Do I go with a blade and then a crossbow?
Whoa.
Because I could basically do the blade to be able to do melee, and then crossbow to be able to do crossbow and the throwing blade as my ranged attack.
I can't wait for you to describe how you utilize those weapons.
Yeah, I think because it's finesse is the trait, range is far, damage is a d6 plus 1 physical damage. Interesting. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the crossbow and the returning blade. I think is my NPC's weapons. So Mike, I'm gonna save you for last for the starting weapons because that definitely ties into our disability aspects of the game. But let's go with Thor. What are you thinking about for your weapon?
So I'm a huge Castlevania fan, and I see two weapons right now that are really like. My big thing is I'm probably going to be going barehanded for a lot of stuff. Now my question is, because I know I selected a trait earlier, which was I think it was one of my traits to. No, not traits. Oh man, sorry, brain is.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Okay.
I know I chose something earlier, and I think it was under the brawler subclass, where essentially I can do barehanded
you could
moves,
yes,
and I get that boost. So I'm assuming that stuff is not always equipped in the attacking sense, how you have stuff in D&D that's in your bag, correct? So
yes, no. So basically, if you're just doing kind of brawling, sort of like unarmed or just basically hand to hand, like a pugilist sort of combat. However, it's labeled within that. I have to double check it because again, this is a play tested sort of currently a play tested class, so I'll have to double check that. But from my understanding, I think is you can definitely use the boost to from what currently is the set as the brawler. But may I make a suggestion as a potential idea?
Yeah. Go for it.
The first one I kind of saw, arcane gauntlets.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. So that's where my brain was going, is do gauntlets, I'm assuming those count as a weapon, so I wouldn't get that unequipped bonus, but it would still be a powerful weapon within my overall thing, because I also saw there was a hand runes, I think it was.
Oh yeah,
further down.
Let me pull that.
I'm interested in those too.
Hand runes. Let's see. You're very close. D10 magic damage. It's a one-handed weapon. Okay. I think that could potentially work as well. I think it just depends on kind of like what would you like with the thing that you'll be giving up as part of the brawler class from going unarmed. Is that more important to you or do you feel like that the having a weapon would do better damage, or do you not want to basically you like the idea of not using a weapon? I think that's more of a role-playing choice for you instead of necessarily a not necessarily min-maxing. I'm not saying you're doing that, but just sort of like kind of that when you're going through the art, like the character creation process within a video game, it's like, do I give up the bonus that I get for bare knuckle boxing, or do I add a weapon in here?
Like,
so
I'm just like, I love the idea of a character who's just like going through the world without like, just like, I am the weapon. Like I saw that listed under the subclass. I'm like, I just love that idea of like, who needs weapons when you are the weapon? But at the same time, I do think it'd be nice to have a little bit of magic damage. So maybe I'll just grab the arcane gauntlets and the I was thinking the grappler, just so I can do scorpions. Get over here.
Heck yeah. I think the gauntlets are only are two-handed, so I don't think you get to choose both. But up to you. Like however you want to do it, it's up to you. But
I was just gonna say, like, so on my character sheet it has 0 out of 2. So do I just select one weapon?
so if you select the gauntlets, I think it will block out from you to be able to choose a second weapon, because it is based on this is where you can choose your primary and secondary weapons. If you choose a two-handed weapon, it'll fill those 2 slots.
Let me just do a double check to just make sure. And
At least that's how
For a
every should have
second,
done
I
it.
had a question actually.
Yeah, go for it.
So hand runes, for example, is a one-handed one, right? Now, because Thor has the advantage of the bare knuckle, the weaponless. What if one hand has the hand runes, but the other one doesn't? How does that work?
Ooh, I think you could be able to use both. I think that I would allow you to use both, Thor, if you want to do that. Like basically one has runes and the other one doesn't. I think I will allow you to be able to use the I am your weapon ability from the brawler and use that.
Okay. Also, I just double checked. I selected the arcane gauntlets first, and then I selected the grappler, and it allowed me to select both.
Oh, okay.
So
I think then I probably will just put it into your inventory then, if that's the case.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what I was thinking. Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, and thank you for checking that, Andrews. I appreciate it.
Yeah, love that. All right, Jen, what are you thinking weapon-wise for your dragon or Arcana dragon there?
I had a question here.
Yeah.
So I'm picturing my character. One of the things I picture is, well, he's a dragon or dragon descendant, right? He's got a tail.
Okay. Yes.
So now I don't want to say, oh, I get an extra weapon necessarily, but could I have my tail be the whip?
Ooh, interesting. Let me look that up just real quick.
Okay, because I would like to bring them in closer and then use my primary weapon, which I was imagining a mace actually, to go a little bit different, because I really want to smash, but I need them close so that I can smash them.
Yeah, let me see if there is any ability specifically for Dracona to use a let's see. I don't. They do a wide tail, and the tail is specifically with long tails within, are specifically within the age of Umbra. So you know what? I would say choose the whip as one of your weapons, and we'll just say that that's your tail.
Okay, excellent. Because then that's my primary will then be a mace, which is D8 plus 1, one-handed, and otherwise it's just pretty much simple melee range. And I just want to be able to bring them in close, because I think that'd be just really cool. If they start to try to get away, I want to whip them back into shape.
Yeah, exactly. I love what Matt said. Whip it good.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Ellie, what are you thinking weapons? Are you going to go with the returning blade, or are you thinking something else?
The returning blade. I was kind of on the same thought of you as like, do I do a crossbow? But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a returning blade and a small dagger. So I can do the returning blade for like long distance, but then also I can get up there in person and do the returning blade and also do the dagger.
I just realized something, because you're basically Batman. The returning blade is a batarang.
Or moth. I mean, whatever the wing shape you take.
True. Yeah, you gonna I could say you can
more of those like super creepy butterflies.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
I'm not sure what colors though, but the ones that like look like terrifying.
Like tiger's eyes.
So your returning blades are also really terrifying looking, is what you're telling us.
Love it. Oh, that's great. Incite fear into your enemies. This is gonna be awesome. Cool. All right. So now we're gonna go to Mike, and I'm gonna bring up my screen here, because I wanted to be able to show the specific the way that we're gonna be using the combat wheelchair within Daggerheart, which is something that has been built in, like I said, created by Mark Thompson to add to the game itself. And the way that, depending on the combat wheelchair, how it works, you have the ability to, like, it is classified as a weapon. That's how it works, and you can can still carry a one-handed or two-handed weapon, but you are limited in your movement when you're doing that, because you still have to be able to use one or two hands in order to be able to use the wheelchair. But you can also use your wheelchair as a freaking weapon, which is great. So, and you can choose, like I said, between light or heavy frame. But then there's also, you can be able to create, if I remember, if it's listed here somewhere, I believe there's also, you can be able to create essentially a one of them is, I think you can be able to create a magic themed
it's like a
frame, arcane
wheelchair
frame. Now the differences between the two is kind of like depending on what weapon damage each can do, but there is some penalties for that, of course. But so there is a penalty to invasion. Your character is assumed to be skilled in moving the wheelchair and navigating numerous situations in it. As a result, the only wheelchair that gives a penalty to a PC's evasion is the heavy frame model, because of course you need to be able to be super tanky and strong in order to be able to use the heavy frame model. And then burden. All wheelchairs can be maneuvered using one or two hands outside of combat. However, when being used as a weapon, the chair is restricted to requiring one or two hands to perform attacks, depending on the model you've chosen. If you're playing a character who has limited to no ability in their arms, their wheelchair can be attuned to them by magical means. For example, your character might use a psychic link to guide the chair around like a pseudo electric wheelchair. All the rules presented here can be tailored and adapted to any character's needs. So you can be able to choose the light, heavy, or an arcane wheelchair. So Mike, what are you leaning towards for your wheelchair?
So we'll preface with talking about my secondary, because it leads so well into this primary weapon.
Okay.
I am going to use a tower shield.
Okay.
And now the tower shield will be it'll once it's deployed, it is tall enough to cover from head to toe of the tallest person in our party.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is, now this segues into our primary.
Correct.
Do we need to talk any more about like the tower shield? It does damage, but
yeah, it basically gives you +2 to armor score and -1 to evasion, and it also can do D6 a D6 physical damage as well. So yeah, I would totally allow you to do that. And basically, when you're not using the shield, it just sort of like attaches to the back of your wheelchair. I think
that is going to be the heavy frame wheelchair.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna go with the heavy frame. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll just bring that up here.
Back, the shield, when I deploy it or not have it, it's basically my backrest.
Gotcha. And so the heavy frame wheelchair, the stats on that for those who are listening, it's basically the trait is strength. So you have to use a strength. Basically, when it says trait and it's labeled as strength, that means that anytime that I have to do any sort of use with the wheelchair, it'll be using strength as the trait. The range is melee. So you have to be basically super within melee range to be able to attack a target. But you can do a 1d12 +3 physical damage. And again, it does -1 to your evasion, so it is a heavy weapon, and it is considered two-handed. So you won't be able to use your shield and move your wheelchair at the same time. But I will totally allow you to be able to work with both of those within your character. So
Gotcha.
Love that. I think that's pretty much, has everyone chosen their weapons? I think I've gone through everybody, correct?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah? Okay. Cool. Then we'll go into inventory. Basically, this is kind of you get to kind of choose kind of like your starting inventory. You feel like we won't go over it for everybody, but I think for mine, because I'm probably going to be using maybe health potions a little bit more, so I'm going to select a minor health potion, which will it will immediately clear 1d4 hit points. So I roll a d4 and it will clear that amount of hit points. And then I think I'm going to choose, for according to mine, a seemingly broken compass as my sort of choosing starting inventory. All right, so once you kind of chosen that, we're going to go over to experiences, because this is kind of where you get to you get to kind of come up and customize your experiences based on the character that you want to play. You get to actually create your own experiences, and you get to choose up to 2 experiences, and whenever your narrative within the story, depending on the name of that experience, you say you want to be able to use a particular experience, being like, basically, if say for instance, Ellie, will just use yours. If you have a character, an experience literally called "I am Batman," then you would say, you can use my "I am Batman," and if it narratively works within the moment itself within the story, then I would say totally go for it, and you get to add a +2 to the ability roll that I will ask you to do. So it gives you like a +2 modifier to it. So be as creative as you want to be, depending on how your character is. And so again, it's all based on the title of your experience. And so this definitely deals with your specific story background. I think for mine, I'm going to choose. I'm leaning towards kind of a name of. Okay, I might need the forgive my Spanglish for this one, but I think I'm going to do La Familia. Because so everything family related is kind of what I'm sort of leaning towards for that experience. And then I think the other one I'm going to choose is I think I'm probably, and there's a few suggestions actually that they have listed here, which is great. You can do con artist, merchant, noble, pirate, scholar, thief, or specializations like magical historian, navigator, sharpshooter, swashbuckler, map maker, barter, repair, tracking, quick hands, incredible strength, or phrases like chef to the royal family, I won't let you down, street doctor, this is not a negotiation, or I'll catch you. So you can be as simple as just choosing one word or 2 words to be able to kind of describe basically what the kind of experience you want, or you can basically kind of create a phrase that ties into what it is. So for me, it's La Familia. It could mean protecting of loved ones or family, or also could mean chosen family, because it's, Fast and Furious, and they choose their own family. It's great. So I think I'm definitely going to do that for the first one, and I think I might sort of keep the second one as a secret for the players for right now. You'll find out tomorrow. But what is everyone thinking as far as like your potentially, like, let's talk it out. If you want to talk it out, your experiences, what are you sort of thinking about?
Like slogans, like things that you would probably maybe live by. I have something that I kind of want to have a phrase that I want to either exclaim. So how would we, inject these into when we are in our combat or something?
So
like that?
The way it works within the using experiences is before you roll, you have to you will declare what experience you're going to be using, and then it's like you say, okay, I want to use a particular experience, and I will sort of determine whether or not that experience will work within the situation that you're in, and if it works well, like it's kind of broad. It's meant to kind of be a little bit broad, but also can be very specific as well. And if I say, yep, that experience will work in this situation, then you get to add a +2 to your roll. So that the thing to keep in mind is definitely you have to do it. You have to declare your experience before you roll. You can't do it afterwards.
Okay. So I just wrote just a slogan.
Yeah.
Like that's like the family slogan type of thing. Do I need to say it now, or is it something that we want to, especially for?
I think I'll allow you if you want to be able to like maybe share one and keep another one sort of private, and you want to bring into the game. I'll allow you to be able to do that, at least for this session 0. But generally, if you feel comfortable sharing both experiences, you can totally do that.
I think one is it'll probably is a slogan, or the family kind of like crest slogan. I don't know. I kind of want. I'll keep it. The first word is persevere, and then that's
Okay.
really all I want to say about that.
Okay. All right. Okay. We if it comes up in play, and I may have to have you may have to ask for, like, if it's a little bit too broad, I may have to ask you to kind of explain what you're thinking of with using that experience to kind of be a little bit more, go a little bit more into specifics. But I'll allow that. Anyone else? Thinking of an experience?
Could I? So like, I was thinking, just because of my character's search for, different combats and just, barehanded martial arts styles, stuff like that. Could something like the veteran of 100 battlefields, or a veteran of 100 battles, just for the vast experience they have, is that like a slogan or something like that I could put in to be like, we're in this battle situation and I'm going to use my experience of 100 battlefields, that kind of deal? Like, is that?
I like that.
Similar?
Yeah, I could see, like, because that could tie into battle tactics. Like you've been up against different enemies. I could even say within the Age of Umbra, you've gone up against other Umbra type creatures, and you've been able to survive by doing that. So I would say, yeah, I think that could definitely be useful. I will say probably maybe think about maybe some more specifics for that, because, like, of course,
that's what I wanted. How do I narrow that?
Yeah, I think maybe battle tactics or 4D chess was kind of like something I was sort of thinking of. Like, you can strategize in your combat mechanics a little bit. Like, if you want to be able to do a cool thing and you're like, okay, I know if this enemy is going to go over here, I can go over there. If I'll allow you to kind of like being able, or see big, like maybe look at the bigger picture as a phrase, or being battle tactics, kind of like, or literally real RTS, if you want to call it that. Basically, you can see everything around you, and you can choose how to best to go about in combat.
I was even thinking, like, I mean, if we wanted to just be like veteran of the academic battlefield, something that would be like, hey, I've studied a lot of tactics, I've done a lot of battles, but I also, going back to my loreborn background, it's just like my character is in an academic place. It would make sense that they'd have a lot of battle tactics just from the academics they studied while training.
I would.
Have you ever played battle chess?
I have. This sounds absurd, but
it was an old school Nintendo game.
Yes, it was.
It was chess, and then when you'd actually take a piece, it would now show a battle sequence of what was happening. And so I'm picturing you being this dominion of battling, but then you're so smart from your academia. That's where I was hoping that would make a connection. So that's why I was saying.
It would be cool if you wanted to call it battle chess. Like, I think that kind of like encompasses a lot.
I like that. Battle chess will be the experience. I guess my question is, like, what are some other ones? Like, I'd like your help in trying to figure out the other one, because I'm honestly like,
I think like something like kind of think of it like maybe you went to like an academy to train, or you were trained as a child to fight, or like something kind of along those lines, that you basically become very adept at, or even if you want to go specifically, like knowing your own body, because you can be able to use that as like, I know I can be able to take this much damage, I can be able to like concentrate on just that, so I can you can use that as like a potentially even a +2 to your strength rolls or something like that. You know what your body can do, kind of thing.
Endurance training,
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that could work. Or you can have that, maybe battle chess as one and endurance training as another. It's like that, you can have that as two separate experiences if you like. So
that works for me.
Yeah. Generally, what are you thinking?
Do you want to go, Bubs, or do you want me to?
You seemed eager, so I'm okay with that.
Okay. I kind of have some ideas. I was thinking on the idea of intimidation, but I wrote accidental intimidation.
Oh,
maybe she doesn't realize and has never realized how intimidating she is, that she can jump from shadow to shadow. And so it's just if she gets anxious, or if something happens and her wings flare out, it's in a situation
Yeah.
the intimidation comes out.
So kind of like almost an accidental RBF. Resting bitch face.
Oh yeah, accidental. Yes.
I don't want to say the B word, but anyway. But yeah, resting B face. I accidental intimidation. I think that could totally work in your favor for sure. What's your presence score currently right now? It should say that in the top of your demi plane above, like where you're.
0.
0. Okay. I think that can definitely give you a little bit of a +2 to potentially those kind of rolls.
And because like the reason I went with instinct instead of presence was because I didn't think like that she was intentionally like attempting to be intimidating, but she just kind of is. Like there are people that are wonderful, kind, sweet, gentle giants that are some of the most intimidating people I've ever met in my life, and that's kind of where I think
love
my
that
brain goes.
Cool. Okay, I like that. Do you want to share a second one, or do you think that's
Well, the other one, like it's kind of a question mark, but when I was like thinking about her and like coming before session 0, I was thinking like bounty hunter or like something along those lines, and so I was kind of going into the like idea of the finder of lost things.
Ooh.
So like because she's used to the dark, she's used to the shadows, she's used to the things that are forgotten.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's definitely something it's kind of a nice little like character thing. I like that. That's okay. I'm cool with that. That works.
So Jen, I interrupt just to ask
absolutely.
Jen something. Jen, can you explain what Battle Chess was again? Because my brain can't remember, but I want to write it down so I don't forget it.
So Battle Chess was an old school Nintendo game, and basically it was chess. However, when let's say a pawn was now capturing another piece, like another pawn, that now shows the action of the pawn. They're going to a fight sequence, but obviously if you know chess, whoever chose the right move is what wins. So you get to see your character capture the other piece or slay the other piece or what have you, depending what the action was.
Okay, so Steve, just to put that down, Battle Chess tactical experience knowledge. Like I'm trying to condense this in a way that will make sense. So if I have to spit this experience back out to you, I will be able to justify.
Oh, so it's more for like your recollection of it. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say like if you want to say you want to do it like Battle Chess is all you need to tell me, then that'll work. That'll work for me. So
thank you.
Cool. Jen or Mike, do you want have anything you kind of thinking of that you're leaning towards?
Yeah. So actually, go ahead, Jen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So what I was picturing based off of some of my background stuff was one of the questions is somebody defeated you in battle years ago and left you to die. Who was it and how did they betray you? And so when I was looking back on that, the individual who left me behind their name is Brench, and they betrayed me because they took advantage of my Leroy Jankiness youthful aspect.
Yeah.
And so when we were going on a raid, they allowed me to go ahead. And by allowing me to go ahead, I obviously was in a terrible position. However, they still took all the spoils and left me behind as if that was, you did your job. Okay, so with that in mind, my experience is I'll catch you.
Ooh.
I might have been knocked down, beaten, bruised, bloodied, but I'm not gone yet, and I will catch you.
Okay, so
again, that chip on the shoulder that's already been developed from before, from already being, a Dracon versus being an actual full-blown dragon. Those are building on top of it. On top of that, the second experience to go with that, I was thinking Survivor. Because for multiple reasons. One, because of the situation I just described. But then secondly, because I'm a very long-winded lifespan for a creature.
Yeah, true.
Into the centuries. Therefore, I'm picturing Survivor in a multitude of ways, not just from the physicality of that situation, but also the longevity of time itself.
Okay, I like that. Don't mind me. You're not seeing me make notes on my phone about any of that.
It's terrifying when the DMs you to say something and the DM's like, yes,
yes.
Keep
So
going.
that is it, you said Brench was the character?
Yeah, so I'll put the spelling in here. For,
Yeah.
the thing.
And who was that? Who was Brench in relation to you? You said it was your.
It was supposed to be a comrade,
Okay.
and of the city that we're from. I'm a little foggy on the name of the city that we were a part of, but we would go ahead and go on these raids to bring back the spoils, not just for ourselves, but for our township. The problem is things changed from that experience. At that point in time, I was led to believe as things were one way, but that wasn't their end game, and they decided to go ahead and take it all for themselves after that really, really big raid.
Okay, I like that a lot. Very, very cool. I love that. All right, Mike, what are you thinking?
So, okay, I guess I was a little bit confused on like choosing experience and how it would be implemented, but so I have just a family slogan with it would be, at least with my character.
Yep.
Persevere and push forward, and that's like the family slogan that I'll go ahead and name, because I already named my character. Their name is Eustace Hemlock,
yes,
also known as the Moss Bastion.
Love that.
And the reason why the Moss Bastions, because being a dwarves love to grow out their beard, and his happened to be as bountiful, and it looks like a bunch of moss. Kind of.
Ooh. Okay.
And, with being the bastion and being like
when
we were talking about sentinels, being able to like being the gate guard. And there's more story if it ever needs to go in there.
Sure.
But, for the other experience, I don't know. I want to put it because I saw in something in the description talking about encouraging to add flavor to your character.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm with the color green.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the kind of experiences that you can be able to do with this. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. I have no idea how that will come up in game, but I'm gonna make sure that there's gonna be something green that you're gonna have something with.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay. I just thought of it. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna do a thing. No, I don't want to click on that one. I want to. There we go. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. All right. Okay, so I think we kind of, unless anyone else wants to talk about their experiences, I can jump right into sort of the disability mechanics that for our characters.
Yeah.
Anyone want to?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So I just will let you know, for those watching and for the players, like, this is very much a play test of these disability mechanics. These are my own custom disability mechanics in the Daggerheart system. It's very homebrew. We're play testing it, so these may not be the final versions of these mechanics. This is kind of like a version, like a very alpha version of these. But so they may evolve. There may be more stuff added. There may be stuff kind of changed a little bit. We'll be play testing these every time we play Daggerheart, and so they're kind of based off of a lot of basically the disability mechanics that I've kind of sort of homebrewed a little bit within our D&D campaigns. Now the difference normally with a lot of times whenever there's anything that deals with a disability, my sort of thing is that I never give disadvantage for anyone with a disability, or if there's like a disability check, because I feel that disadvantages kind of like ruin the experience of a character and a player as well. So normally I give kind of penalties for that. But because Daggerheart has the way they do advantages is you roll a d6, and depending on if you have an advantage, you add the d6 number to your roll, or if you have disadvantage, you have a negative to your roll. It kind of also, like, it really does kind of can negate the sort of the negative or the penalties I would be able to have. So with that in mind, the first thing that we get to that you get to choose is you don't have to, you won't be able to put this into demiplane now. This will be after when we finish creating your character. But the way I sort of see it is that if there is a disability that you want for your character, you gain an additional experience that's related to your disability that essentially can be used as sort of like that experience is something to how do you adapt to the world around you based on that disability, and you get to add a +2 to that experience if you want to be able to use that. So the disability mechanics that I have created for that you can choose from, I have autism, blind or low vision, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, deaf or hard of hearing, or missing limb / amputation. Is there anyone that wants to be able to kind of go first with their sort of a disability? I think Mike, you kind of already sort of gone with the combat wheelchair. So I think for you kind of like, do you want to go towards the missing limb or amputation? Because I know that necessarily that obviously there's no, I don't have a paraplegic sort of disability on here.
How about fatigue?
Fatigue, okay. So you can be able to add a +2 to your fatigue, but you also get basically two features that essentially that works with your disability. So there's one called Good Spoons Day. At the end of a long rest, roll your duality die, which is your hope and your fear die, your d12s. If your hope die is higher, today is a Good Spoons Day and take no effect. If your fear die is higher, mark a stress immediately for, like, this is always after every long rest. And then you also have the feature concentration. Because you can manage pain better than most, at the end of a long rest, pick a trait you make and you mark you mark a stress and roll advantage on any check with that trait until your long rest. So at the beginning of the day, after your long rest, you can say, okay, I want to be able to maybe, like, today's you can concentrate more on knowledge checks. So if you're in a library somewhere or a temple and you're reading books, you want to focus in on that. Because you're able to concentrate on other things instead of just your pain that's happening or chronic fatigue. You can be able to concentrate on that knowledge. You can choose knowledge as your trait for the day, and anytime that you would have to do a knowledge check for during that between long rests, you get to have an advantage to that. That kind of like lean towards potentially what
100%, concentration.
Okay, cool. And then I would say you gain additional experience based on that. So you can either, because you have a combat wheelchair, I would say you could basically get to choose whether the experience kind of caters towards more you using the wheelchair or towards kind of like your chronic fatigue on how you adapt to the world around you for that. And I'll leave that to you. So okay, so you'll choose that one, chronic fatigue. Is there anyone else that has an idea of what kind of disability you want to play with?
I think go on, Ellie.
No,
go on.
Nope. Go.
Thor, you go.
I tried not talking first one.
That's the problem with sometimes being a host. It's just like I just give an open-ended question, then everyone's just too dang polite. Just like, yo, you go. No, you go. No, you go. So that's my fault. That is my fault. It's the Canadian in me. I will say, Thor, you go. What disability would you like to choose?
So honestly, I was thinking of leaning more towards the autism disability. I'm very curious to find out a little bit more about that. So
this one actually has 3 features. I may be changing these in the future because autism, obviously, as we know, is very, like, being on that spectrum is very varied across different experiences. So being able to like narrow down to 2 is difficult. So in the future, there may be more traits to add to this. So this is not a definitive, this is how autistic people are supposed to be with just these 3, but this is kind of like gives you at least a good thing to work with within the playtest we're doing. So the first one is literally called On the Spectrum. At the end of a long rest, roll a d4. Add that many points of stress until your next long rest. If you mark all your stress, you cannot move or take any action in order to stim or self-care. You can roll your duality die, and if you roll with hope, you clear a d4 of stress. And you can also basically use any healing, any sort of like stamina potion or anything like that to be able to clear any stress as normal. That whatever happens within the game that you can that will allow you to clear stress, you can do that as normal within the game. And then there is sensory processing. You can roll advantage on anything that involves facial recognition, or you can roll disadvantage on that if you prefer. If you want to be able to, like, your sensory processing maybe is a little, you get overwhelmed a little too easily. But if you fail with fear, if on anything that's trying to recognize someone or recognize any sort of like instinct kind of rolls, which is kind of like your insight, you would if you roll that and you roll with a fear, you automatically mark a stress. And then lastly is special interest. You get to choose a subject, roll with advantage on all knowledge checks related to that subject. So it's kind of that hyperfixation. You choose a subject, you're so well known, or you know so much about that subject, so, that basically anytime that there's a knowledge check towards that, you can basically, and I think this totally works within your academics. So if there's anything, like, say as example, if you know so much about the old world, and anytime there's a knowledge check to that, you gain it, you basically roll advantage on that.
I feel like that last one is very, like, I feel like the last two are definitely me, but
Cool.
I really like the special interest one especially. So yeah, how many do I choose? Just one or two?
Actually, you get to use all three.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. That works perfect.
So, in the future, I'm kind of leaning, like, because these kind of cards are these will eventually be cards for those who for y'all, and also for the chat. These eventually kind of will be cards that you can kind of, the idea is that you can kind of swap one feature from another disability, so it's kind of like mixed disability. So if you feel like that you are like a little bit, like, you want to have a character that's a little bit autistic but also is missing a limb, then you can totally do that, and kind of mix and choose the different features for both. Okay, cool. So yeah, that'll be something in the future. For right now, we're just kind of going with what's just on the card for right now, but that's sort of like future what I'm sort of leaning towards, but how this will work.
Perfect. Too. Yeah, that works for me.
Cool.
Perfect for me.
All right, so we've got chronic fatigue and we got autism. Ellie, what are you thinking?
So that,
and you could be as well. You could be autistic or with chronic fatigue as well. I won't sort of pigeonhole that you can't use the same one.
But just to go over what's remaining, we have
blind, low vision, hard of hearing, and chronic pain. Oh, I'm missing limb amputation.
I would probably say pain.
Okay.
As that is currently what I'm living.
Okay, so it is sort of similar to, yeah, I get it. It is sort of similar to chronic fatigue, but the way they do instead of a good spoons day, it's sort of like, is it a good pain day? So in your case, at the end of a long rest, roll a d4. Add that many points of stress until your next long rest. You may clear that stress using the usual methods: consumables, short rests, downtime actions, etc. And we'll get to downtime actions and stuff like that when we actually go through this in game. But essentially, it's like anytime you take a short or long rest, you get to choose certain actions for your character to be able to do, whether it's clear stress, clear health points, or stuff like that. You get to choose 2 of those. But so you can you can basically remove stress by doing that on short or long rests too. And then the next one is tough skin. Again, similar to concentration, because you can manage pain better than most, you gain a +1 on your armor score. So you gain an armor slot.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty
cool. That's cool. Unexpected. Very cool.
Yeah. I figured it's, again, you can concentrate. You can basically, you're able to concentrate on your pain, so you could be able to handle pain a little bit better. So like when you basically, when you have that kind of that tough, in a way you have that sort of tough skin. It's like you may not realize that you got hurt because you're already dealing with pain in your sort of normal everyday life. So it only you just basically gain an armor slot, and that can bring it down again. Brings down from different thresholds. So you'd be like, like normally this would be a severe pain or the severe damage to somebody, but for me, it's only a major pain. Basically, I don't have to take an extra health point for that. So. That was kind of the thinking around that one.
I love that.
Cool. All right, so we'll go with chronic pain for you. Jen, what are you sort of leaning towards? We do have, you can choose any of the other ones that's chosen, but the ones we have left are missing limb amputation, deaf or hard of hearing, or blind, low vision.
I was going to actually go for the hard of hearing because I already deal with low vision, so I don't need to also go ahead and incorporate that again. I'm incorporating a lot of me into my character, but at the same time, like, I'll leave a little bit, for my fantasy, where it's like, instead of dealing with the low vision, I will go with the hard of hearing. And
Gotcha.
I kind of attributed it to the instance of the raid that went poorly, is that one of my eardrums got burst from one of the hits, and that's kind of where I'm bringing that into play, where it's like, wasn't born that way, but dealt with it from an action, and now I have to learn to live with that.
Yeah. Oh, I like what who said in the chat? Nemo. It's like, tis but a flesh wound. Yeah, that's kind of how I sort of think of like tough skins. Yeah. Okay, so for deaf and hard of hearing, they basically I couldn't think of a proper sort of title for this. So it's deaf and hard of hearing spectrum. So decide with me with GM during character creation, and basically depending on sort of the severity of your hard of hearing, and you'll basically take a -1 to a -5 to a roll that pertains anything to hearing. If you choose total hearing loss, you will auto fail any instinct checks that pertains to hearing. But the bonus is that piercing through twilight, roll with advantage on any roll that requires sight in dim light. So you can be able to make out cool. Details in anything but like around like a kind of a campfire light or anything around that up until at least total darkness. So it's almost like kind of like dark vision, but not quite. You can basically just make out details pretty well, because you have to concentrate on either. You can choose either like lip reading or stuff like that as a potential experience, or just an alternate way to communicate based on your you can choose that as an experience. But so for you, for your deaf and hard hearing, how like again, because it's as most disabilities are a spectrum, how much hearing loss do you think your character would have suffered? You said you only had like one ear was kind of was damaged.
I picture the left eardrum has been quote unquote destroyed from impact.
Okay.
And the right one is fine, relatively speaking. Obviously taking on a little bit extra because it's now the only tunneling of information from an auditory standpoint. That's kind of how I envisioned.
Okay, so how would you feel about this? Basically, I would say a -2 penalty to any time that you are that potentially there might be like, because then I think you will have to decide on kind of like where your character is like in relation to if you have to listen for something. It could, like, I'll have to say, okay, are you listening on your right side or your left side? Yeah, and correct. You decide which ear it is, and then if there's any check that deals with that particular ear, you'll take a -2 penalty to that.
Okay, cool.
But again, with disabilities, you're able to adapt, so most likely you're able to use your other ear as kind of so that penalty may not come into effect within the game. But it also kind of depends on your experience too. So, like I said, an ideas for experiences are lip reading, or you have another, like you can use sign language as a way to communicate, and so that you can get a +2 for that as an experience that's specific to your disability if you want to do that. And actually, I would probably even maybe lean towards maybe one of those being your additional experience, because I think that could be fun to work within the story.
And then question,
yeah,
in regards to this, because obviously you described the partial hearing versus the full. Now this is only one session, so it might not be enough time for it to come into play. Mm-hmm. But I was curious if there was another point in time where the other eardrum got destroyed.
Potentially, yeah.
With that, therefore, we could then go from the original and then it branches out to the other, for example, or is that not enough time, you think, in one
I think shot? For this one shot, we probably won't be able to get. I mean, potentially that could happen. Okay. If there's anything within combat, it makes sense to potentially have that as a thing to add to your character backstory. Or if you feel like, hey, at this moment, at this attack that hit me on the other ear or whatever, and that's what I thought was like I couldn't hear out of that, and then we can decide on the penalty for that. It could be just -2 overall for anything that involves hearing, cool. we can maybe like decide on kind of like how severe that would be, like yeah, whether it goes from like a -3 for something like that, or even higher, if we go for that. So yeah, I think we can work with that.
Should bring it up ahead of time, so that way I'm not just dropping in the middle of the thing. It's like, wait a second, hold on, we didn't discuss this at all. It's like, oh no,
no, all good. Actually, this is what's
story driven.
This is what this session 0 stuff is for. Absolutely. Okay, cool. So okay, I'm basically making that as a note. We're
so
decided on a -2. So as we're kind of like discussing this, like, is anyone sort of like thinking about right now in the moment what type of experience they maybe want to create for based on their disability? Or if you want, you can kind of work on that offline and decide on that and talk about that tomorrow. But what are y'all leaning towards?
I'm leaning towards the one that you started to describe for me. I just I can't articulate what you had. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So the two I was sort of thinking of is either you can read lips. That's something maybe you kind of learned as being in the Halcyon Domain as being as a lot long in life as you have been. I think that could potentially would have picked up that skill, or being able to understand kind of like a version of like common sign language. You're able to communicate with gestures, and that can help in the wild. If you need to silently kind of communicate with your party or what have you, you can use hand gestures for stuff like that. I can include that as part of the experience with that.
Ooh, okay, cool.
So up to you. I would say either or would be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Anyone else?
So something personally that happens with me also, I'm sorry that the sun is coming in the way it is.
Oh, all good, all good.
Now a dark blob.
Those are the shadows. This is where you live.
Yeah, exactly. This is only where you're in the shadows. Only can concentrate on your voice.
So something that happens to me, especially when I'm having like an extremely bad pain day, is I'm extra sensitive to touch. So I'm extra sensitive to like the clothes on my back, or like someone putting their hand on me, or like something like hovering over my skin. Like I'm much more aware of what's in my surroundings, so that like I'm wondering something like, I'm gonna kind of work on it, but like something like that. Or the other one would be like thinking about migraines and something about concentration and focus and blocking that pain out. Or sense. I
think I kind of would lean maybe towards the first one, because the concentration you kind of already essentially kind of have as part of like with the tough skin, unless you want to have that ability from chronic fatigue with concentration, which I can bring up again. Here we go, chronic fatigue. So I'll read that. Because you can manage pain better than most, at the end of a long rest, pick a trait you mark as stress, and you can roll advantage on a check with that trait until your next long rest. So similar to the you choose a trait, say for example finesse, and you could say that for the rest of the day, you gain advantage on that. So you can do that as, or if you want to kind of be a little bit more vague, we can use that as kind of like your experience. Up to you. You can kind of choose either or.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'll think about it more, but I'm liking kind of the options. So
okay, cool. Works for me. Mike or Thor, what are you sort of thinking about at the for potential experience?
Sorry, can you repeat the original question?
What are you thinking about your additional experience for your autism disability that you can be able to gain a +2 on? Similar to how we were talking about, like what your kind of backstory experiences, what you can be able to have one that's specific to adapting to your disability.
Oh, definitely. Like we're talking about the special interest or the hyper focus. I mean, I think you mentioned a good one, but also just, having grown up in an area where like, books and schools were all around kind of deal. It might be fun to have something where it's like, my special interest is just different fighting styles. And so knowing a lot about that and knowing, maybe necessarily how to just like that would be my special interest. So like whenever it comes to fighting, that's something I really like to know about. But if there's a way that you can think to narrow that down, but just like I don't know. I guess I need time to think about this offline.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have to decide on that at the moment because we did go through a lot today. So it's I allow you ability if you want to think about it overnight. You can, that's totally fine with me. We can do that, and we'll discover it in the game tomorrow. Mike, what about you? Is there anything that you're kind of topping out, or you think you might?
So really with the is really injecting our personal experiences into our characters, and I'm a big fan of trying to add some of that element. So with having the chronic fatigue and concentration, I've become a chronic pre-planner, trying to always have different avenues of approach, having your primary, secondary, tertiary, existential plans on like if things would go wrong, or I have a plan for a plan for a plan.
Gotcha. Yeah, kind of like you have like preparation A through H, and yes, you will have preparation H as well, if you wanted to. Yeah, I like that. You always have a plan, a backup plan upon a backup plan, as it were. Yeah, I think that works great because that totally works with someone like, as I'm certain you and Ellie would know, like having to be able to know how to be able to get to a thing or how to be able to do a thing. You need to plan ahead of time, and that could be to your own detriment sometimes too.
You started explaining, I started giggling and was like, "Oh," and Jen goes, "Is he describing you?"
Yeah. That worked. I like that. Yeah. I like you just said, yeah, I feel that just in my soul. This is great. This is why I love working with y'all. This is great.
I'll definitely say I would like to definitely pull from some like my own experience, especially with like the special interest in the sensory processing stuff there. So like,
sure,
might take a little bit of because I know for me, loud sounds going off in my vicinity sets me off in a panic, or like just something being visually too much has me having to step away into a room, or even just being in a crowd full of people needing to say, I'm gonna step into this quiet space over here.
Cool. Mm-hmm. All right, I love that. That's perfect. Okay, if we're all good on disabilities, there's two more things essentially that we get to do. And
before you transition,
yes,
I was gonna say I was gonna choose the lip reading for my aspect.
Perfect. Yep. Cool. So basically, anytime that you need to be able to either listen in on a conversation, quote unquote, or eavesdrop on a conversation, I'll just say, yeah, from any, we'll give you, can give you a +2 to that, so you can be able to figure out what's being said. So perfect. Yeah. All right. Second to last thing that we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to create connections. Because, again, this is a narrative-focused game, and we want to be able to have you as players and characters to be able to interact with each other. So if you go onto your demi-plane, you'll see that there are, in the Experiences tab, there is a Create Connections. Now, the good thing is they actually have some sample questions that you can be able to answer for yourself, but basically they should also all be related to asking a player at the table a question that you essentially that you want them to answer, and that'll create a connection between you two. So we don't have to go through all of them because there is 3 of them there, but it would help if especially for world building, and also like I can be able to tap into that for the game itself tomorrow. But if you want to ask any of each other questions that can tie into your character, look at those questions and decide who do you want to ask and have them answer for you.
Thor, how did we know each other before this party? You know, how'd that happen? Huh?
Oh man, you're asking the person with the bad memory.
Maybe that could be you don't know.
Well, I mean, so like before we met in person or before we met online?
I was referring to person, thinking of the fact that we had the crisscrossing what is it, the communities or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, we met at oh my god, PAX East. Yeah, it was PAX East. And we were at the after party thing.
That's right. Yes. Correct.
And it was me, you, and Phenomenon, and we were all chilling, talking, and Ellie was there. Yeah, it was.
And Ellie kept on showing the no you Uno card, the super large
Uno
one.
Cards.
Oh,
Yep. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think that's how we met. And
I'm sad I didn't get to know y'all at that point. I mean, I feel like that we could have years of fun together.
It's funny because I always say the only way I meet people is by going to conventions. Just a tiny story. I had somebody who lives in the same state as me, who I had to go to another state to actually meet them at another streamer's event before we finally met, and we've actually never met in our own state, despite the fact that they are very close to
Love that. So Jen, do you want to maybe ask from character to character, like how to know each other, or is there any specific questions that you see in your connections of how to? Yeah, because that's the whole idea, is that basically like how does your characters know each other?
Yes,
that's how that works. So there'll be questions in there that you can be able to prompt a storytelling response.
And then that's where I asked that, obviously of us, I was playing up the memory aspect for you, Thor, there, but then thinking that same idea with all the knowledge and everything from academia, our paths crossed through academia. But I wanted to kind of know what was your input versus what I'm kind of picturing in my head of where we cross paths. Because I'm thinking it probably would have been in a fighting sequence. But is that where you're leaning towards as far as your academia in that regard, or no?
So, I was thinking it might be I feel like in an academia regard, you definitely would have found me fighting somewhere. I guess my question is, what is your character's field of study? Considering you're in the same kind of area I am, where would we have intersected? But what is your field of study?
My overall field of study is history. So as long as the scribes have written, I've been obsessed with it, because from being left behind, the only way I could learn about my story was to actually read up on it.
I feel like we probably bumped into each other a lot in the library, because history of fighting very much dives into the actual finding of the books for where are these fighting styles from and where they influence. So I feel like, I probably have asked you for quite a lot of help reaching the upper bookshelves, because my character is very, very short.
Okay. I like that as well, because I think in adding the Umbra, Age of Umbra sort of feel to that, is that, again, knowledge is of the old world is rare. I mean, like I think with Jen, with your character, like being a Dracona, like it being old, you have like a direct familial connection to the old world. But because the world has been like it's 100 years later, knowledge is very hard to come by. So the limited libraries at like basically either a temple or what have you, if you decide on which one is you want to be at, basically, like there's limited amount of books, but you may know one is in, like, you may be able to help each other out as far as like, okay, I know this book has this thing that can be able to help you out, or maybe this one. So you kind of bonded over trying to be able to like find any information that you needed.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that too. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else? Any other, like, any of your connection questions that you want to ask each other?
I would like to ask L.
Ooh.
So what small gift did you give me that you notice I always carry with me? And I want to preface it, possibly something that's green.
Deal something green.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, do we know each other? We clearly know each other. What kind of was going through my brain was like, if I'm from underground and you guys are in the mountain, maybe I went off adventuring and I don't know if there were maybe rumors of a terrifying creature in your
So
and it ends up just being me.
Oh, interesting. You were the danger.
Yeah, that's even because like I'm again not aware that I'm creepy, intimidating. But then I'm wondering if it's something from like when we first met, or like something I noticed that you were
that wants me
interested
to
in.
preface on the thing before that, because it's
That would be how did we meet? I
yeah,
guess.
when we first met. Do you all have the same question?
No, no one else. The questions are catered specifically to the class and then domain.
Okay.
So yeah, you all have different
So-
questions. That's kind of the whole
So
idea.
some of them might
wonder-
crisscross, but that's
Oh
a
yeah,
little
I'll
bit.
just even say like for I'm not going to ask these questions of you all because this I'll have this later. It's like one of them is what threat have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it, or why did you act differently when we were alone than when others are around? Like it's that kind of like each one has their own kind of custom questions. So yeah. But I like that. I like the idea because, like, you know, there are obviously like underground caverns in a mountain. Like, there's cavernous regions in mountains, and I think I like that. Where it's Mike, you're kind of like, there's this danger in the caves. I need to go investigate, and you find that it's just Ellie in the who's the danger.
And I feel like it would probably be like a piece of jade, like something like natural to the area, or something I've come across. But probably a piece of like jade or hard. I'm trying to think. The jade, emerald, there's sapphires. I'm like,
Would it be something that is like in a raw form, or would it be something that is refined into a shape?
probably refined into a shape, because I think her nervous energy comes into needing to fiddle with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And so like working with what she has in front of her.
What would be the piece of like what shape would the piece of jade be?
It probably would be like into an oval, not as big as like probably I was gonna say the size of a loony, and then I realized that's
that's the Canadian. Hey, happy Canada Day, everybody.
I guess that'd be like maybe the size of like a dollar coin, but probably oval with a very like intricate pattern etched into it. That's more for like sensory feel.
So it's like in the like egg shape or flat
Yeah.
shape, but just in the shape of an oval.
Like not flat, like not fully flat, but like a little bit like skinnier on the outside, fatter.
in the hand.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah. So definitely not like an egg shape, I guess then.
Yeah. No, not an egg
Less of
shape.
an egg shape.
Okay.
More like I'm thinking more like flat, kind of like a worry stone thought
Okay.
kind of process.
Would it be kind of like a relatively like small kind of thing, or larger kind of piece of
Could
jade?
fit in the hand.
In the
I
palm.
would say
Okay.
like yeah.
I like that.
Coin.
Yeah, dollar coin, loony, toonie, shape, size.
Okay. Mike, you can be able to put that in there as an answer to that question if you want, and it will pop up on your character sheet as well. So
that's cool.
feel free to put that in there. Anyone else? Anyone ask questions about any of the other characters?
You know what? I'll bounce it back to Jen real quick, because I figure, you know, we do know each other, but what's one thing we're both afraid of?
Oh, well, for me, it's being left behind.
You know what?
Which is
I could see that for myself and also for my character. I think that's a good one.
so definitely am in look of camaraderie, but also a little bit jaded. You know, Ellie was talking about jade, so it came to mind. A little bit jaded too, but somehow when interacting with you, regardless if it was a simple question, hey, could you just reach that book off the top shelf for me? No malice, nothing of a negative connotation came across, so there was no put the guard up.
Mhm.
Mm,
That's how
I like
how
that.
I picture it.
I like
No,
that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And I feel like that at a certain point, like one of you probably was in a fight with someone, and they kind of ran away, or some people ran away, and you either one of you were kind of like, no, not leaving you behind.
I need it backstory. I need it.
Absolutely. Perfect. Anyone else?
Steve, do you want us to know your NPC?
Yeah,
as
right.
well? Like, does that need to be in?
No, that will be kind of revealed in time. I just wanted to create an NPC along with y'all as creating a character, so that it's you'll recognize who the character is once I introduce them into the story.
You just want to kill them off, don't you? Gosh dang, I knew it.
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Anyone else want to ask each other questions? It seems like we got a good connection between Mike and Ellie, and Jen and Thor. But how? Like, I would say, like, kind of think about how do the four of you know each other? Like, how you've been kind of the way I sort of think of it as, maybe I'll just kind of say, like, the way that I'm thinking of the beginning of the story is that you all are together at the beginning, and that you're looking for a new home. And I'll kind of let y'all kind of decide on how that works, because basically you all been together. Like, you're definitely not like, you're not gonna be starting at the home that you were from, or the era that you know that you were from. You're kind of searching for a new community to kind of call your own.
I have a good question that might actually spark that
Hell
I was
yeah.
gonna ask Mike, but I could ask to the group.
Yes.
Go for it.
What did I recently convince us to do that got us in trouble?
Ooh.
So, like, maybe that's why we're all together, is I was like, hey, there's this really cool thing.
Oh, I like
and
it.
we all go to do it. And now we're where we are, because...
Just an idea to throw it out there. What if it was tavern hopping and I got into a tavern fight and everyone got involved? I don't know.
So, okay, I like this. So in my brain, with everything that's been said so far, I was picturing kind of a dark kind of tavern thing, because again, I'm also picturing kind of, you know, a lot of time I'm assuming Ellie's character will probably choose to be in the darkness without even realizing doing it is, you know, keeping people less afraid of her, because she's not realizing her outward appearance is so, you know, intimidating to everyone. I'm also curious, like, if it was supposed to be like their version of a karaoke night, you know, it was singing and whatnot. However,
I will say,
unfortunately,
I like that, where they're kind of leaning towards, but think of, this is a dark and desolate world. Karaoke might not be the thing to do. Yes, there is like times where you are like, it's not going to be like this, everything is so bleak and depressing. Like, yes, there are moments of levity within communities. I mean, that's how communities can keep hope alive, is that they're all in it together. And that's kind of where I think the four of you, like, I think, yeah, the tavern idea kind of works out, is that y'all just kind of found yourself in a tavern somewhere. I even see, like, maybe it's up to you all, like, maybe Ellie, you kind of did something, got in trouble, and everyone kind of like scattered, but Thor and Jen did not want to leave you behind, and that kind of got extended to you, and Mike was there too. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe Ellie were defending Mike from something. I don't know. I leave that to you.
Just saying, this sounds like a bad joke, like the beginning of a bad joke, like a happy D&D party walks into a Soulsborne.
You know what? I'm gonna write that down. I like that.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Walk
you
into
took,
a
like,
Soulsborne.
a group of positive people, and you're like, let's play dark and dangerous.
Okay.
It's
so to go with that, under the understanding, of course, it's a desolate kind of bleak world overall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that this is one of those moments in time people finally decide that, okay, there's a little brevity. They're allowing a little bit of joy for just a moment to create this balance, because otherwise you can't recognize darkness if there is no light.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
right.
However, unfortunately, when Ellie decided to go sing, she used her really strong voice. That is not probably the best thing to use for singing, and I think that might have started getting us into trouble because of whatever. Feel free to take it from there. What you think, happened.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like that. I kind of like that. My thought was like, okay, did I suggest for us to go to this different tavern than where we normally go because I heard of this delicious drink or food or something that has taken us outside? So it's meant to be just like, oh, and then someone does something. Oh, okay. Someone does something to you, Jen. Maybe we'll like, if we're not doing the singing, but someone does something to you on the side that you can't hear. So I'm gonna throw down.
Ooh, or
sorry, Ellie, go on.
This could potentially be an idea. Kind of maybe I'm maybe coming around on the singing idea. What if Ellie starts singing an old folk song from the old world? And it kind of is like you're kind of in a tavern that just like is so against anything of the old world. And because Thor and Jen, you recognize that song because of your studies, that all of a sudden it's like then y'all started kind of getting getting attacked or antagonized. Like there's the people in the tavern are kind of like wanting to kick you out, and Mike, you're just part, like you're with Ellie as well. You don't like bullies, exactly. Yeah, because you were enjoying the song. Yeah. So I think I like that because it's like the two of you versus with the two of you. That's how y'all kind of come together.
I like that.
Yeah, dwarf.
Yeah, because I was thinking also you're going to be quite merry when you finally are not working or adventuring. It's that you're quite merry. So now that that's being interrupted or being taken from you, I could see that getting you a little agitated, a little angry. And you wouldn't like Mike when he's angry.
Exactly.
Steve, maybe it's a song that I know from like my community, and it's sung. It's sung there as just like a passing tavern, like just kind of what you would sing while you're working or like to soothe somebody.
Yeah. Or it's like because you're kind of underground caves, because that is very connected to the old world. That's where a lot of underborn folks are kind of like went to. It was maybe like a communication sort of thing. Like if you you're going in the right direction when you hear this old world song or something like along that lines. Like sorry, I'm kind of taking over. I shouldn't.
That was good.
This is all working together. I love it.
I got this. Okay. I'm totally writing this down.
So I convinced Mike's character to go to a new tavern that Jen and Thorm were at, and I'm singing this song, and they hear it, and they're like, "Oh, she shouldn't be doing that," and then maybe my extra powers of enthralling people pulls them in and makes it extra strong, extra potent, and people get very mad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because that's just not like, again, accidentally intimidating. It's like you don't know that you're enthralling other people, but you are. And as you sing the old song, like that's when people get agitated and be like, "What the heck is going on? You're using old world magic or old world sorcery. Like you can't, like you siren. You can't get like."
Basically, have a siren moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Burn the witch.
Burn the witch. Okay.
I'm no longer Batman. I am the witch.
I don't know. I think Bruce Wayne can sing a tune. It's fine.
Well, we need to know: can you float like a duck or not? So you have to test that in the water.
I mean, well, I want to know: can fairies actually fly?
Yes, they can. You can totally, if you want to. Yeah, you can absolutely fly.
Oh no.
Wow, that's awesome to be able to fly and then just appear in the shadows. Wow. Okay. You're all over. I love it.
Okay.
It almost reminds me of a Twilight Domain cleric.
Ooh, yeah. Perfect. Okay. That absolutely works. And by the way, I see Babe in the chat. Thanks very much for the for the raid, for coming on in.
Babe.
Love that. Cool thing is we're all streaming on each other's channels today, so this is great. Cool. All right. Is there any other questions that anyone wants to ask to kind of maybe connect, maybe instead of just necessarily beyond the Ellie and Mike or Jen and Thor? Is there in the times you've been together since then? Is there any sort of connections you want to have, or it's up to you all. You can kind of ask, or we can figure that out in roleplay tomorrow.
You know what, Mike? I got a question for you.
Yes.
I rely on you for something important during our travels together. What is it, and how do you feel about it?
What's your ancestry again?
Qatari. Cat people. It's okay. You can say catnip. I promise. I want.
It's green.
I was going
Just
to
saying.
say.
There are drugs in Age of Umbra, by the way. That also so there that also does work. And I think actually, I think Age of Umbra, the Critical Role, I think they made that canon because I think it's like white powder can basically can clear stress from someone. But
Oh my gosh.
I
so
would say a place to rest, as in if you wanted to take a break from while we have been traveling, whether it is somewhere on my chair or I don't know how large the cat tendencies, if you want to ever get into the cat going on the lap type of thing, and that for me I don't care. Everybody would think that it's kind of weird just that Qatari is just kind of just hanging out on the chair and it's
what if the only way that the
cool
Qatari can sleep is underneath the chair?
Somewhere above, on the backrest, because it's a tower shield.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's my kind of thing. I kind of just slink into it, and I'm like, I'm gonna just ride back here. I like that. Okay, perfect. Okay,
I like that.
I have one more joke question. Ellie, feel free to interpret this as you want. This doesn't have to be serious.
Okay.
But I still haven't forgiven you for something you said to me. What was it, and why did you say it? It can also be serious. It can also be 100% daggers.
This could totally work within your accidentally intimidation.
Just Ellie said, "You have a nice dress." Just angry for life.
It probably would be something tonal, I would imagine. And probably more in my brain, she's much more blunt than flowery, very to the point and matter of fact. And that added with how she looks is doesn't come across very well half the time. So what did I say? Do you carry a lot of books, or do you you really research? Do you travel with a lot of things?
I would imagine I'm probably not allowed to travel with books because books seem to be a pretty hot commodity in academic spaces. Okay. So I would say I don't, but I probably have notes I've taken, and that's probably what I travel with.
Sure. I'll agree with that.
It probably would be a passing comment. Let's go with something like that. A passing comment on you travel with too many notes. And it's just meant to be an observation, but it's very pointed and it's very you have too much. Why do you need all of this? Is the what was read through maybe, or what came through was not the intention. It just was matter of fact, you travel with a lot of this.
I feel like my character would have taken that as you're a hoarder.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And I think that if that works with you, it would be her matter of fact observation of what you travel with, but maybe didn't come through the way that she.
No, that's perfect. I think that's perfect.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I like that.
Jen knows I'm pulling from real experience on that.
No,
one.
it's true. I want to get one last one myself in here when we're ready.
Okay,
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, yeah.
go for it.
So I've already kind of talked about, my fear, but maybe you have a different idea or another one that crops into mind. This is targeted at Ellie. What fear are you helping me overcome?
How do you feel about being snuck up on?
Well, obviously, with everything I've dealt with, I definitely don't like that.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with, like, in the shadows, she just appears behind you.
Oh,
She's just there, and like maybe in her mind she's like helping test your reflexes or helping test, and like maybe she's a little bit more abrasive about it, of just being like boop, but like maybe something about that, of like the fear of being snuck up on, or a fear of like not being able to like.
I like that because of the fact of, the fact that my left ear can't hear out of.
ooh, yeah.
And so I think in my mind, I appreciate it when you show up on my right side because it's working on my actual ability to hear and be prepared in battle. While on my left side, I'd feel like, oh, you're taking advantage of my disability to gain an advantage. And so until we've worked together long enough, I haven't overcame that, which sounds like, you've been helping me overcome. Okay.
Perfect.
I like it.
Ooh, I like that.
So I have a question. In this setting, we know about each other's, like, everybody's been disclosed with each other on their disabilities,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I know that Jen's character doesn't have, has like hard of hearing over on the left side. So okay, all right, because I just wanted to figure out for like theatrics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I don't think that your disabilities would be hidden unless you want to. If you want to have that, like, because that's the whole thing about disability representation, is that everyone is different. Not everyone is as it is Disability Pride Month. Not everyone is prideful of the or happy with their disability. Some people can still struggle with that. So, and in this world, that would absolutely make sense. If you feel that if showing your disability is as a sign of a weakness, especially within a community, you may be seen as like an outcast. You may be seen as no one wants to work with or live with you because you can't contribute to the community in some form or fashion. So I leave that up to you if you want to be able to kind of go with that flavoring as well, or if you four just are happy with, like, you accept your disability and the fact that the four of you have able to find each other and you all have disabilities, you're able to be a little bit more open with that. I leave that up to you all, if how you want to sort of portray that in the game.
Honestly, I feel like with my character, especially, just doing the autism trait, it's not even necessarily that accept my disability or happy with it. It's all I know. So there's not really any outside experience outside that. It's just like, I am this, and I don't really understand how other people see it differently, especially in a world like this.
Sure.
So for me, it's just what I know and who I am.
Cool.
And I think for mine, I'm so stubborn and have such a want for the I'll catch you aspect of this individual good old Brench, that I'll continue to overcome, regardless of the fact that it's happened and I don't like it. It is what it is, and I got to keep going forward because I can't catch this person if I just sit there and wallow in my self-pity.
Absolutely. I love it. That's great. I love all of that. I have so many notes about this. I'm just like, I hope I can be able to add this into the game, because I think these are great in some way, shape, or form. I may have you all play out your sort of tavern experience. We'll see. I'll decide on tomorrow of how that works out.
Get ready to sway back and forth. Yeah.
So Elliot, be prepared to sing. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Roll for performance. Roll for presence, and just you have a disadvantage because it's like you're accidentally intimidating. No, you're fine. Cool. Okay. Unless anyone else has anything else you want to ask each other, I think the last thing that we can be able to do is start to kind of come up with potentially the the names of the areas that you all have either from or going towards. I will say in this that you will probably be coming up towards a community that has a sacred pyre, and we can decide on the name of that community that you all have known about, and you're like maybe a little bit more accepting or what have you, or if you want to come up with like the community, the name that you came from. Normally I would have open up the map of the Age of Umbra, because they do offer that, and we can kind of pick and choose different areas of where the map is, but I think unfortunately I think only gonna be able to pull that up technically wise in this, unless maybe hold on.
So there's actually named points of interest, or
there is actually, yeah. Okay. Wait, I think I can be able to bring this up, so I'm going to bring up the map of the Age of Umbra. Here we go. Oh no, these are just the blank general maps. Don't mind me, folks.
Because I almost put like a different mountain range. Of course, it's
here we go. Perfect. I can do this. I can do it this way. All right. So if if in Discord look at my camera, and you will be able to see this. So this is the map of the Age of for the Age of Umbra. The mountainous areas at the top is the Idle Hollows, which I think probably I would imagine that's maybe where Mike would be from, and then the large sort of like city that's there, it's called the Amber Reach. That is kind of the largest it was the major city within the Halcyon Domain that essentially got destroyed and ruined. This is where like the king of Theodos, I think is his name, I'm butchering that, the god king of Theodos was this is where maybe the brunt of the punishment from the gold gods had been, but it's kind of, think of it as like a very Soulsborne like gothic ruins with a lot of tall bridges and tall steeples and temples and churches and like giant walls and stuff like that, and then there's kind of other areas. And if you see on here, if there's anything that has like a little bit of a circle with a point to it on the map, those are essentially sacred pyres. So if you kind of look to the west of the Silesian Athenium, and you kind of see that little island that's there, that little circle, that is the location of a sacred pyre. And you can see that some of them have been named, like the Silesian Athenium or Okros, which is kind of far off to the west there. But the rest are kind of like kind of up to y'all of where you want to be able to either be from. You can kind of name those and choose. So is there anything that stands out from any of y'all of the map that you want to be able to maybe stake claim to, as it were?
Well, Jen, I was gonna say, I feel like if we're doing stuff in academics, we're probably someplace with a pretty good populace for people coming from all over at one point. Correct. Is the way I see it. So I would imagine us probably being somewhere closer to Amber Reach as a hub of the world. So just go on, Steve. No.
I was just saying, like, I think then, yeah, absolutely. Amber Reach would be kind of like because that is kind of the largest city in the old world, and so yes, this would have survived. So that's the whole thing. Part of this world too is that there are communities that are in search of knowledge of the old world. So because they feel like that maybe there could be a clue or something hidden in that knowledge that can help either cleanse the world of the Umbra, or help sort of maybe bring back the old world civilization. So absolutely, Amber Reach would be one. I think there are definitely several districts in there. There's the Cinnabar Quarter, but I think maybe there's there's the Ashcall Quarter, but I think potentially the Silesian Athenium, because I think that if I remember correctly, according to Matt, I think during Age of Umbra, I think that one's like where a temple is.
Okay, cool.
That sounds good to me. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, because I was just about to ask, what was the closest thing to where a library or sacred novels or scrolls would be located that we'd have a reason to have our instance where we cross paths and then happen to stay because we are in search of more information, regardless if Thor's and my path crisscross at certain times and then branch away a little bit and then crisscross again and then branch away a little bit in our search for academia and more knowledge. But Elysian sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. Okay.
It also just sounds cool name-wise.
It does.
Celsian Athenium. Yeah. Athenium. Yeah.
Sorry, Celsian.
Yeah. I mispronounced it myself because I had an extra I in there, or a U in there. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can definitely see that. Mike and Ellie, where do you kind of see yourself as being from in the Age of Umbra?
Go ahead, Ellie.
I'm just looking at like where the mountains meet some ruins, maybe. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of something like there might be an entrance to a deeper section somewhere in between those crosses. So I'm like, for mountains for you, we've got the Idle Hollows, and then we've got the Grief Cleft. Is that what it is? The Grief Cleft Mountains?
The Grief Cleft Mountains, yes, that's on the eastern side, yeah. And also, if they're kind of looking more of a very traditional underground setting for the Underborn, that's the Shock Chasm. That's on the far west side, on the southwest.
Okay.
Okay, because I was curious between that because I was looking for what had like openings that look kind of like the underground.
Yeah, but I could definitely see that. Like again, this world is very, it's open to interpretation because there are some areas that are labeled, but I can definitely see where, yeah, maybe there's a section where there's actually, if you look at kind of just a little northwest of where the Silesian Athenium label is, looks like a cave entrance.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly where my eyes first went to.
Yeah, and maybe that's how you entered in and found your way into the Idle Hollows, maybe.
Yeah, there's also the pyre like up there in the Idle Hollows, and then there's Oakros.
Oakros, yep.
So like, there's definitely a lot like along. I just don't know how far Mike's character would move away from.
Right. Well, I was thinking wherever you're at is, you know, if we go and take the part of where people have heard of legend of this dark and sinister figure, you know, that's been lurking around, either spot would work really well.
Okay.
If it was closer to Grief Cleft, I'd have like a running thing is like me as a dwarf being like charismatic or just like on the optimistic side of things, you know, always making comment like, why do they call it Grief Cleft when nobody there is sad? You know, we live in this world that's a whole bunch of crap right now, but where I'm from, you know, everything is like, we're always looking on the outlook of things.
Yeah, we could do somewhere along there then, somewhere like more on the Grief Cleft side.
Okay.
And maybe like I've come from the chasm like over, you know what I mean? Like I can see how like maybe I've come across this way chasing something, and I don't know, I'll have to,
yeah, because I kind of see like where it says the Grief Cleft Mountains, where it says mountains, they're kind of like is this little sort of like temple, I think, or building that's there. I think that could be the connection or the entry point into the mountains proper that would connect to the Idle Hollows, because I feel like the Idle Hollows, from my understanding, I'll just even say it for our flavor of the Age of Umbra story, is that there's a bunch of underground caverns and that goes along the entirety of the Idle Hollows, but that's where basically where a lot of the Underborn had come from. But the Ridgeborn basically lives on the surface of the Idle Hollows. So again, there's a lot of peaks and valleys that can be able to connect via like bridges against each other. So maybe like the exit or what have you, or the entrance is like to the main underground caverns would be where that Grief Cliff Mountains would be. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool. All right. And then so we got kind of where y'all are generally from. Where do you see this community that you're coming up towards? Or you're trying to find this community, to be able to find a place to be able to make your home. Where would you like to be able to have the community be? And what would you like to name it?
Well, question: how bad nowadays is the Amber Reach?
Amber Reach is it's pretty bad.
Okay, so with that in mind, then I'm assuming we're wanting to move much further away from that.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Amber Reach, as you can see, there are several sacred pyres in there, but there's a lot of places to hide. There's a lot of Umbra that's also there, because again, that's the sort of in a way almost the source of where the Umbra started from. So there's a lot of nasty creatures that are in there, but it also can be able to be rife with corruption, criminal elements, different factions, and so it's a populous region, but it also can be very just as dangerous as anywhere outside of the Amber Reach. So maybe you're just trying to find like yeah. Well, I could see like if it's okay, maybe making a suggestion. But where it's on the south part of the map where it says the Ashen Seas, there's that little tiny kind of like town there with a sacred pyre. That's just south of where the Grief Cliff Mountain label is. Just
all the way down
in the southeast.
Okay. I was looking more like I almost was looking south central at first, but okay, I see what you're talking about now that you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not too. It's also got a nice separation of like the area of the Amber Reach, and I feel like if you're gonna do something personally, you want something that's a bit outside of where the problems are, so it's probably isolated, a bit more safe. I'd say the only thing you'd really need to account for is, can you plant stuff and can you do stuff there? And it looks like there's trees among other things, so wildlife, other things. I think that looks like a decent place.
Yep.
I like it.
And it's close to that entrance, like I said, for the caverns, for the Idle Hollows and stuff like that. So I think it's a good spot to escape from it all, I guess. So I don't know, right? Cool. Okay, I will make a note of that, and that's kind of wherever everyone is from. And I'll just I'm going to write that down myself. Okay. Grief Cliff Mountains, and Mike, you're from basically the surface of the Idle Hollows. I would love to be able to hear like your flavoring for how to navigate your chair on a mountain. That's gonna be fun to hear. Cool. Sorry, you were gonna say something, Mike?
Oh no, go. No, I wasn't gonna say add anything.
Okay, cool. Other than that, I think that is pretty much it for session 0. Unless y'all have any questions about the game or about the story or anything like that, or anything about your characters that you want some clarification on. Also, I should probably mention as well, part of session 0 is X cards and content warnings. Is there anything that you, knowing that it is kind of like a Soulsborne, I know we're kind of jumping into potential content warning type territory. Is there anything you as players want me to avoid bringing in, like stuff like obviously like spiders or anything like that?
Yeah, that was it. That was the one I was gonna say.
Spiders? Okay.
Yeah. Spiders.
Perfect.
I have one thing, but I think it's pretty understandable. I have a thing, you already have it on there, but I'll send it outside of stream.
Okay, sounds good. Perfect. And yeah, is there any other questions at all that you might have?
I don't think so.
Nope.
No.
Okay. The last question I have for y'all, and this is something that is specifically. Oh, I know. I just cleared off.
There's more.
There's only one last question. Only one last question. And it's specific to the Age of Umbra campaign, and this is specifically for you. How deadly do you, as a group, wish this one shot to be? Would you enjoy a possible churn of many potential character deaths across the entire one shot? Or do you want a more balanced flow where danger is real but not stacked so hard against you? I think with the time that we have with the one shot, may not be able to create another additional character. But yeah,
how to ask about that. Okay.
How deadly do you want this game to be?
So we're choosing hard mode, like regular, or,
basically, yeah, like relative, like you're choosing your difficulty settings.
Do you want Souls mode, or do you want Souls mode with a broken weapon at level 1?
We, just for chat purposes, we are not creating an easy mode in this game, so don't worry about that.
I'd actually like Elden Ring on potatoes mode. Thank you.
There you go. I should have probably mentioned as well. So this is how death saves work within this game.
Oh yes, you said that
You-
you'd get back to it.
You have 3 choices whenever you when you run out of hit points. You have 3 choices you can be able to make. You can either go out in a blaze of glory, which basically you get to do whatever you want. It's an automatic critical success. You get to roll for it. You get to do one last massive heroic thing, and then once that happens, you're dead, absolutely dead. No coming back. That's one option. There's a second option. You can go unconscious, where the only way to be able to bring you back is either someone heals you or after a long rest. That's basically it. You can't do anything. You kind of go unconscious, and you're out for the duration of anything. As far as I understand, I don't think that there is any advantage for enemies to basically because there's no death saves where you get they get critical advantage against you. You're already down. There's not there's nothing else you can do. But when you come back to life, you also, if I remember correctly, I'll have to double check this, so correct me if I'm wrong later on if watching this a little bit in VOD, and I apologize. But if I remember correctly, if you do go unconscious, when you do wake up, you gain essentially what they call a scar. And what that means is that it's a permanent sort of physical scar that is on your body. But what that also means within the mechanics of the game is you lose a hope slot. But within the Age of Umbra setting, if you gain a scar, you do get a bonus on your attacks the more scars you have.
Okay.
So, and then once you run out of all your hope, if you scarred completely, you just that's it. Instead of what they call in Daggerheart, you basically if you scar all your hope, you go retire. You basically kind of you go off into the sunset, never to be seen again. You're done. Your adventuring days are done. But in Age of Umbra, if you lose all your hope and all you have is scars left, you basically succumb to the Umbra and become one with the Umbra itself, and become a creature of the Umbra.
This very much sounds Dark Souls, hollowing, losing your ambition, losing your way.
Yes.
Kind of deal, and just becoming an undead.
Yeah, you become mad, and then you just basically you're just now you succumb to the world around you. And then
that gave me goosebumps.
And then the third one is you can risk it all. You roll your hope and your fear die. If you roll a high on hope, you come back and you can use that the number that you rolled on your hope, and you can use that to fill out to refill any of your hit points or your stress points. You can divvy that number up as you will. So if you roll a 6 on hope, you come back and you can use 6 to clear off 6 hit points or 6 stress, or you can split that number up how you see fit. If you roll higher with fear, you're dead. So that's the 3 death saves thing. You go Blaze of Glory, just go unconscious and gain a scar, or you can risk it all to the roll of the die, and you can either come back with basically almost fully healed if you get a high hope score, or if you do roll doubles, it's a critical success. You're back at full health, full stress.
Okay.
Brings
Question.
issues.
Yes.
Let's say you choose option 2, which is you're unconscious, survive the scenario, you get brought back. Are you now able to choose the Blaze of Glory later on?
Oh yeah, if you go back into death phase again, you get to decide out of those 3 options.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah,
so you got forced into one. Okay.
No, you don't lose one if you use one within the game. You basically every time you do it, have to go death stage, you can choose either of those 3.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So I go back to the original question: how deadly do you want this one shot to be?
I'm gonna let everyone else answer first.
I guess it's with the challenge runner maybe answering the question first isn't the way to go.
Toeboy, shut up. So Toeboy says in the chat, you are the next boss. Shut up. Don't ruin my surprises. No, I'm kidding.
I'm good with
And again, if you do become
difficulty.
dead, you basically I can spend a fear and turn you into a zombie that with all the same features that your character had, and I get to use that against you. Against the rest of the party.
Boss. It's fine.
But I'll be permanently twerking when that happens, just so you know.
Absolutely. That's
side effect to bring me back.
Yeah, that's the other secret experience that you have.
Never missing a leg day.
Twerking machine.
That's Twerker Mortis.
No.
Never miss
Twerker
leg day.
Mortis. Love that. Again, yeah. So sorry, I keep interrupting all. You can discuss it amongst yourselves. Feel free.
Well, I'm thinking at least in between at the bare minimum in my brain. So I don't want medium. I don't know yet. I'm not quite convinced to go like hardcore. But if like in between medium and hardcore, like I'm kind of sizzling.
Yeah, I definitely, I think I'm a little bit above normal. Like I don't want new game plus. Like I
Sure.
don't want like instant death kind of one shot. But like I'm okay with a little bit of challenge
Okay.
and like a little bit of
If I'm gonna
Spice
die,
and stress.
I'm gonna die at the boss fight.
Okay. You want to last to the boss fight. Okay.
Yeah.
I
I'm
was gonna
okay
say-
dying in a boss fight.
I'll digress to where everyone else is going at this point because yes.
Because Thor was like,
I had a feeling I
was
might
like-
have known what Thor's answer was going to be going into this.
I'm just like,
Let's go.
you know, I'm not used to many campaigns where it's like, hey, would you like this? And it's built around it. A lot of people make like very bad D&D campaigns where like, I'm gonna throw 13 zombies at you at level 1. But this is like, no, this is built around it. But I'm also just like, I want to have fun with this because this seems like an interesting system. And if I die too early, I don't get to experience the system. So, but also I just want us to all have fun. So I'm willing to go with the in between if that is possible to do with what everyone else wants.
So maybe
Yeah, so like in my brain, I pictured it where it's like, okay, it might be tough on the bad guys getting there. You know, obviously we make a lot of bad decisions or really poor rolls. That's going to
Sure,
be
sure.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking once we get to the boss, I'm okay with the boss being really hard.
Okay.
That's how I picture it. Like I'm okay with the boss being like, oh boy. We like pull
Question.
that all the academia in. Like, okay, so okay.
Yeah, I will say-
Thor, you go over there and I go over here. You know.
question to the group.
Yeah.
Are we okay with a TPK?
I am.
Look,
I
I don't
am.
want it to
How do
happen.
we
That's the
feel
last
about
thing.
TPK?
Blaze of glory, so yes.
I will
Okay.
promise there won't be a TPK at the beginning of the one shot.
Oh,
No,
good.
but at the last boss, if we TPK, how do we feel?
I'll be okay with it.
Same.
Listen, that's when we just all go for Blaze of Glory, so we all die at the exact same time as the boss. Okay, we just
Yes.
And
Up
then
to
it's
you.
Just like carnage everywhere.
And then the boss
Okay.
was Brent, and I said, I finally got you.
Or peace.
I just sit there and say, "You took the last cupcake." Dead.
All of a sudden, it's like you get like you take out the boss at the exact same time as you all die, and then all of a sudden you hear second phase. It's like motherfucker.
I thought we did it. I thought we did it. Bleh.
Okay, all right.
like
I can be okay with that. Maybe like a little bit of a challenge above normal, but not necessarily a full blown into hardcore mode just yet. Okay,
Just yet.
I think I
But
could.
like I said, like, once you get to the boss, I'm personally okay with it being, you know, Rudy Tooty ripping Rudy. You know what I'm saying? So
All right, so the don't hold back on the boss fight. Got it.
yeah.
Send me to the Shadow Realm. On a scale of 1 to Shadow Realm, send me to it.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, I will scale my my enemies accordingly.
There's the giggle.
You know,
I know.
yeah.
It's like when he pulls out a magic card and it's in his hand and he's just looking and you know.
Oh, this is
It's not gonna be
it's
good.
absolutely. It'll be like when I throw my farewell card.
Oh no.
Clear all creatures. Clear exile all creatures. Exile all enchantments. Exile all,
Here's my
all graveyards. Oh God, I love it. I love it. Cool. All right. right. Well, that's all the questions I have for y'all. Oh,
Cam's.
yep. I just know that now. So I think I'm ready for tomorrow. I think this is going to be a fun little story. So before I'll just say my little thing to kind of I can't talk now. Where you can be able to follow me online. I'm Steve Saylor. You can be able to find me at Steve Saylor pretty much everywhere on the internet, except for TikTok. For some reason, I can't. Someone has Steve Saylor in that one, so I'm Blind Gamer Steve on there. However, you can be able to find me pretty much on all social channels at Steve Saylor, or you can be able to find our Dungeons and Disabled group and our show at dungeonsdisabled.com, or just search for Dungeons and Disabled on any podcast platform or YouTube as it were, and you can be able to check out all of our previous content in that, and this will be included as part of it as well. So yeah, you can go to dungeonsdisabled.com for that. All right, and Thor, where can we be able to find you, and tell us a little bit about where can we be able to find what type of content that they find whenever they find you online.
Hello everybody, if you're looking for somebody who does things a bit different and is a bit different, well, hi there. My name is Thormangander. I'm very neurodivergent, ADHD in particular, and looking into the autism diagnosis. But I'm also one of the leaders of the Twitch Black Unity Guild on Twitch, and I play video games with absurd controllers such as actual potatoes. We're currently going through Elden Ring on one of these, and we also do games on steering wheels, DK bongos, DDR pads, and more, while having an all-inclusive community in the LGBTQIA+ and uplifting marginalized communities on the platform. Later, probably in 10 minutes after the streams end, I'm going to be going live with an unboxing of Lost in Random, The Eternal Die, and unboxing a small little media kit they sent me. Nice. So make sure to stop on by, and you can catch me Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on my channel at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and also Monday mornings with Steve Saylor, Mike the Quad, the Team Monster on the Mana Buds, playing Magic the Gathering as all friends should. So make sure to stop on by, and yeah, thanks for having me as a part of this. This was a lot of fun. And
absolutely.
Probably 10 minutes after this goes live, I'll get things back up and running, and I'll be live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cool, perfect. Let's go, Jen. Where can we be able to find you, sir?
Oh, you can find me everywhere as General Andrews. Thankfully, people haven't been taking that. But you can find me on Twitch. A lot of times I'm doing, like I said, nostalgia-driven content. We're sharing conversations and shared experiences of a lot of retro-oriented things. So that might be talking about old TV shows, old music, old celebrities, or just enjoying the games that are on the screen from your Mega Mans and Zeldas and Marios of the sort. A lot of the times I'm doing speedrunning content, so I'll be doing Mega Man marathons where I'll play all 6 NES cataloged Mega Man titles, or maybe I'm doing a chat versus speedrunner. So chat now has the opportunity to go ahead and slow me down while we have a time goal that they need to keep me from making, and they might get a reward.
Nice, cool, love that. Mike, where can we be able to find you?
Hey, what's up again? It's Mike the Quad here, and you'll find me on Twitch and other social medias at Mike the Quad. Mondays, we've been getting a lot into Magic the Gathering, and lately I've been getting into a lot of D&D tabletop RPG type stuff with Steve. And yeah, we like to play sweaty games like Marvel Rivals and Elden Ring Night Rain. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Love that. And last but certainly not least, Ellie.
Hi, my name is Ellie, or Elbel. You can find me everywhere as Elbel, but it's spelt with a 3 instead of an E at the very beginning.
I'll say because the captions basically called you Elbow. So
so ELLEBELLE, but with a 3 at the beginning.
Hey.
Oh, not LEB? Okay.
Yeah, well, it's fine. It's fine.
And you can find me doing whatever my ADHD decides to hyperfixate on in that moment in time. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV and some other very, very cozy games. I love Survival Crafters. We also play Kaizo Mario. So I try to play Super Mario World with challenge jumps and things. Not well, but I enjoy it a lot. And most of the time I'm talking and rarely video gaming. So that's it.
That's usually me too. I usually rarely video game whenever I'm streaming too. It's just mostly talking. So it's what I do. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all for being here, both on my channel and on Ellie's and Thor's channel. I think our experiment worked with being able to stream to all 3 channels at the same time. This has been great. So make sure to tune in tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this channel, twitch.tv/Steve Sailor. We'll try to build maybe all our channels tomorrow. We'll let's go crazy. Stream on everybody. We may do that. We'll see. But for now, twitch.tv/Steve Sailor for tomorrow's game. And if you want to be able to also find, if you are listening to this or watching this VOD later, it might be up at dungeonsanddisabled.com. So thanks so much for y'all. Have yourself a good rest of your day, and we'll see you all tomorrow for Unbroken, an Age of Umbra story. Bye, everybody.